another. I mean, it's not unlikely that another like alien civilization would come here and do that. We would do that if we were like super advanced and we got to another planet and there was like, but I'm happier now with my reels fixed, and I'm not thinking about that shit as much anymore.
Do you know about Bulbasaur? You know the Bulbasaur story?
Bulbasaur.
All right, we're here with my boy, me and Sandwich. Sandwich and I, we strictly gamer friends. We've been friends for a long time. We have never met in like physically. That hopefully will change in the not too distant future. And I definitely want to make a video and like a whole like thing on that. We'd have to do something. We'd have to do something. But it's been about like what, like 7 years maybe?
Yeah.
Something. And this is like talking for hours. And I feel like, you know, people who probably like come from gaming, they understand like having a close friend that you've never met. But people who don't come from gaming would be like, that's weird. You know what I mean?
Or they think it's some like gay shit. You know what I mean?
It's fucking losers. Get a real friend. You're like, oh, shut up.
Yeah.
Like we talk all the time. We've talked about like very deep stuff and whatever. I know a lot of shit. You know a lot of shit. Like we met on Fortnite in a random thing. I wish I was recording that.
Oh,
like
so
first thing.
I remember it too.
I remember it too. Also, I don't remember things
That's
that were
so
like
crazy,
said, but I do remember.
I remember we dropped Tilted, and I went like, "But there's gonna be so many people there," and you're like, "That's the point."
Literally,
like, that's the idea.
And that's never left our vibe.
Yeah,
that's our whole gaming thing. There's gonna be so many people.
Yeah,
that's the point. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm just like careful and cautious, and you're like, let's just fucking get into it.
Let's get into the mix, baby.
Yeah.
We've done so many like gaming sessions, long, like all day long playing. Eventually, talk about a whole bunch of shit. But now we're close and all that. But it started with Fortnite. Got into a random quads game and whatever. I don't even know. Like, I guess me and you were like the good ones on the team, and we got along. Also, there's a bunch of kids on there. We're like, hold on, is that an adult? Are we talking to an adult now? Is it an adult to adult conversation we're having? I fuck with that.
Yeah. Also, the likes were on. Like, that, what are the chances?
Yeah, and it just worked out. And then ever since then, and then that was before I even started YouTube at Fortnite.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember you were there from like back when I was like, yeah, I got this video out. There we go.
Yeah, double ramp rush.
Yeah, it was the worst. But for the time, it was what it was. Have you ever watched back those old videos? I have.
Yeah, the build battles are pretty great.
I like to look back at some of the guides, and I'm like, because that's before they had like turbo build too, so you couldn't just like, you know what I mean? You had to like click every single build. True. So it was, so things you were doing was just everything was just so much at a slower pace because you just had to click every single build.
Yeah. I honestly forget how that even works. Like, how could you even click that fast?
I know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you just couldn't move your. I mean, people were building some like ridiculous bases back then. Like, I remember one of my strategies, I think before I met you, was just to like, we would build this like, and it's because my friend did it first. He was playing before me. We'd build like this little like, damn, what did we do? It was like probably about 2 like little blocks wide, fully concealed with 2 ramps on both sides, nothing over our heads. I used to have the roof unbound because like I thought it was pointless. And nobody used cones. Yeah, nobody used cones. Nobody did.
No.
So like I was like, I just didn't even need it. And I think I got that from somebody else. I saw it was unbound by somebody. I was like, oh, we don't need that. Like, what do we need cones for? And then all of a sudden,
cones were noobs. Like, if you saw someone using a cone, you're like, all right, we can fuck with this guy.
Yeah, we got this guy. This guy's
because you knew that they never bound their like builds, so they were just like spamming whatever was happening. Yeah.
Back when Fortnite was hot, and that was like one of the most fun times ever. Like, in gaming, like it was so, and just the way Fortnite like captured the world by like storm. Like it literally did. It's like the first game that I saw was like professional athletes were doing the emotes. You had, remember Drake and then Ninja was popping off, and Drake and Ninja were doing their thing, and you're like, what is going on? This game is just going nuts.
so many personalities,
And like
like
to see them
rivalries.
now, they're like all growing up.
Yeah,
You ever watch like old school, like you look at Clicks?
I haven't seen him recently, but yeah, I remember
Yeah, he's like
Cliff.
growing up. His voice is deeper now. Like like they all went through puberty and shit. Like all those old
That's so
streamers
trippy.
and like yeah, it's crazy to watch some of them. Oh, you should see Mongrel.
Oh yeah,
He does YouTube now and he does a lot of health things now.
I don't. No, he doesn't.
Yes. He's like we're like so
Mongrel.
I haven't like I literally saw one video for the first time. I think it was yesterday. And Mongrel's doing like YouTube videos with like I just saw one video and he's sitting in a
What in
ice
the
tub. Do you see?
fuck? He's jacked, dude.
And he's so like calm and like he's not, you know how like, Mongrel was wild and I'm sure it's
Yeah,
still in there and I only seen one video. I don't know if he lets that out often, but he's like sitting at
that's
this
so
desk.
funny,
He's
dude.
sitting, I think I saw two videos actually. I didn't watch it all though, but one
Yeah.
he's like in a no, it was the same video. He's like in a cold plunge and then he's sitting at a desk talking about like motivation or something like that and he pulls up a book, the Book of Five Rings. I don't know if you know what that is.
What in the fuck? Yeah, yeah.
But he's
No, I
so
don't.
like
That's so trippy, dude.
you wouldn't think that guy was that wild child back in the day because he's like
Yeah.
very like stoic and whatever. I'm like something must have happened to you, brother, or or I don't know
Yeah.
because he's so different. But then you grow
He
up.
must have had, yeah. You can't sustain that vibe. Your body will reject it eventually. Just like raging and
Yeah,
eating chips and energy drinks, drinking energy drinks and shit.
yeah, but good for him, man. I wonder if he still
Yeah.
games. I mean, I'm sure he does, right? If he got to that kind of level, he's
Yeah.
got a game.
Yeah.
It's crazy how like you can create a game like Fortnite and it just like you just creating a game. You're just we just want people to have fun. But
Yeah.
then you simultaneously give everybody just careers. And
Yeah.
they just elevate. Like so many people got elevated. Like Tifu, Ninja, Clicks, who's a Mongrel, um uh, I'm blanking. Who was Savage?
Yeah.
I could keep going, but I'm just
There's like
blanking right
Nate
now.
Merckx. There's
Myth. Yeah, Nate
Myth. I
Merckx,
forgot about Myth.
Tim the Tap Man with Ninja.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still follow them. A lot of them
Cypher
on like
PK.
Twitter. Yeah, Cyber PK got in great shape.
Nice. As you would, man. Like you have so much free time and like so much money.
Well, he was not in shape like in the early days. He was very, very out of shape.
Mm.
He like showed his like I've seen his didn't look good, but then like he got like real serious, and Tifu got in shape, but they were like I mean Tifu was just like a he didn't have like a bad body. He was just like a surfer dude looking guy, like
Yeah.
I don't know, like wild child. But no, he was working out a lot. He got in shape. Ninja's still not in shape. He's just skinny, so it's all right. But like if you ever see his like gut, you're like, oh,
Really?
he's like skinny fat. If you see his body,
Ooh,
yeah,
that's not good.
That's not good.
Yeah.
From here up, everything looks fine.
That's hard to fix.
Yeah.
That is hard to fix. I would know.
So what do you? How long? How long have you been grinding at the gym?
Probably like 3 years at this point.
That's pretty good. What's your average day, or how many times you working out a week?
Probably 4 times. Probably 4 times, 3, 4 times. But they're small workouts. Like I'll do like 4, 5, 6 exercises.
Mm-hmm. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I get just to get it in.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
even today, I did like rows, lat pull downs, curls, and like leg lifts, and that was it. It's like I gotta get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel good.
Yeah. Do you do anything cardio wise?
Not today.
I've heard rows.
But,
People say rows does good cardio. I just don't really do rows, so I don't.
I just do the weighted rows.
Yeah.
So you just do a
The
set
one is
10.
when you do the legs, or when you do like the. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Not
just like
the
the seated row machine where you just like
yeah. Okay.
do like
Not the one with the
120
like when you're
reps.
like your legs and you're like doing this constantly. You're like pulling it up. I heard those ones or decent for cardio.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't do much cardio. I probably should, especially with the hard shit.
Yeah. And one
Yeah,
thing, yeah, so I don't even know. I don't want to get into anxiety right now, but but with that, one thing that I tell you before we get to anxiety later is that I
yeah,
like one of the things that help me when I feel like the heart acting up is when you do push your heart. So like say I just ran a lot and
yeah,
I know my heart rate was way up there and I'm running, I'm pushing it. And then when my heart rate is not that high, but it's not as high as when I was running, but like climbing and because I'm feeling anxious or something like that, I know that
yeah,
it's not like going to be a heart attack. I'm like, look, if I was going to have a heart attack and my heart was that bad, it would have happened out there when I pushed it.
yeah. That's
So it
true.
kind of helps your brain a little bit to talk to yourself and be like, look, if that was that, it would have happened over there. Like when I actually pushed, I just ran, whatever. I just did this. And now I know.
True.
So it's like a little like self talk that kind of helps me personally with like knowing that it's not that, even though like you could tell yourself a million times, it's still like your brain is going to do its thing, but it helps to kind of get control of it a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just good. Have heart health, have good cardio, and it makes you
especially
feel
in
good.
our
The
age.
endorphins. Are
You're
you
you're
30? Are you 4?
34?
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
When's your birthday? You're like a couple months after me.
Yeah, April 8th.
Oh, you're close to my little one.
Oh, cool.
He's a 420 baby.
Nice.
Yeah.
Blaze it.
I don't smoke, but if he wants to smoke, I'll smoke. I'll smoke. Like if he wants to smoke on his birthday, I'll be like, all right, fuck it, dude, let's do it.
And what's the soonest? Like,
For him,
what number?
I'd rather him be a full fledged adult.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think when you do things like that when you're too young, I've heard even from people that smoke like Joe Rogan and stuff like that, people who
yeah,
smoke and are definite advocates of it and like whatever, uh, that like when you're young, it's not a good idea.
yeah.
There's some things
It
with
can start
like,
the growth.
yeah. So yeah, then there's no, so I wouldn't want to do that. I haven't looked into it myself, but
Yeah,
like I'll just take it. I'll take his word for it, because he would look for
yeah,
any reason to be like, yeah, this is it's good everywhere across the board.
yeah.
And if he's like, there's some things that say that probably shouldn't do that, then I'm like, all right, well then I'll just trust you.
I smoked. I smoked a lot when I was a teenager, and wasn't good. It wasn't good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like all through high school and shit.
yeah, a lot, and yeah, grades suffered. And I was a pretty small kid. I was like 155 pounds up until like I was like 27.
Oh damn,
So
damn
I
for
think I,
27.
yeah, and then I hit another growth spurt, and then I gained like 20 pounds just in like bone.
Really? You like look.
Yeah,
I feel like I missed the growth spurt. My dad told me when he was because my dad was 6'5". He's shrunk down to probably like 6'3". But
yeah,
he told me that he went from the summer between eighth grade to his to high school. That transition
yeah.
during that summer, he shot up to like 6'2", and just like he just had
Dang.
a crazy growth spurt during the summer. Coming to school, and he's like crazy. So I remember during that
Yeah.
same summer, I'm like, here we go, baby, we're about to do it. That shit never happened. I was like the
Fuck.
same height the entire time. I never had a crazy growth spurt. And I don't know if there's any truth between like lifting weights and working out early, if
Mm.
that's can stunt it. There's always a myth. That's always a myth. But like lifting weights are gonna
Yeah,
stunt your
yeah.
growth if you lift heavy and all that. They say like if you're a gymnast, all that compounding, like whatever, it stunts your growth. I don't know
Mm.
if any of that's true, but I just know that people say it. And I don't
How
know.
tall are you?
I used to be 6 foot, and I think since my spine is curved, I've dropped down to like 5'11".
Yeah, I'm 5'10" now. I used to be like I'm like 5'10". Yeah, I used to be 5'11" and a half, and now I'm like 5'10" and maybe a half.
I
It's
think part
crazy.
of that's that back pain, that like fucking like scoliosis, whatever. Like
I
your
fucking know.
spine's like shrunk down, or maybe it's, I mean, it's older age, but like, damn, I feel like being 34, like, is that? I feel like you. I don't know if you ask me like at what age do you experience that kind of like shrinking, I would not say it's 34.
Yeah,
I'd
I
be
say
like,
50.
yeah, 50. All right, yeah, I
Yeah.
lost a little bit, but I wouldn't say 34. So I think like a lot of it's just like the spine is just not as straight as it used to be.
Yeah, and the cartilage kind of wears out.
Yeah, true. I gotta pee real quick. I'll be right back. But I want to do this. gaming, so as my longtime gaming partner, we played multiple games. What would give me some strengths and weaknesses of me?
All right. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, give me some strengths and some weaknesses.
I'd say probably main strength would be leadership. Like you pretty much have an idea of what's going on, and you have a good, you're a good shot caller. Like you're good to be like, yeah, we need to be doing this. You're also good at delegating in the same moment. Like I like just being able to do your own role, and then also like know what everyone else should be doing, and then also being able to communicate that to people without like pissing people off. You know what I mean? Like because
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you
yeah.
just do, you're just doing it in a fun way. It's like you should be doing that. It's like, oh yeah, I should be doing that. Um, so shot calling, like leadership's probably main strengths. Plus, you're also just like good at like you get pretty good at the game pretty quickly too. So kind of get the yeah. I think that's definitely another strength. Uh, it's also just fun to play with you. Like it's just
Yeah.
like it's a good time. Like the vibe is good. Where we can like try really hard, but it's also like funny if you like if you fuck up. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's like
yeah.
it's not like oh you fucking idiot. Like it's
Yeah.
just like sometimes it's like pick it up a bit, but most of the time it's like nah that was bad. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Weaknesses, I would say I think sometimes maybe just like overconfidence.
Yeah.
Just like let's just I think sometimes you just want to like you just let
Yeah.
you have all this like you get all of it built up, but then in that moment you're like, fuck it. You just go for it. You do all the work to like
Yeah,
we're doing everything right, then you're just like, I'm going in, boys. You know what I mean? That'd probably be it.
That's why I sent you that meme where it's like I remember.
Yeah.
Do you remember this one where it was this like bird and he like skydives off the cliff? He's just dying. And it's like when everyone's like it's like your teammates are like I forgot what the meme said, but it's pretty much that. Is how you're like fucking. I'm going in. He's like your teammates back up on
Yeah.
the cliff. You're like like
Yeah.
diving down. And I
Yeah. So many
try.
times
I
I
just get
remember like
caught up. Go ahead.
late game Fortnite, we're like grinding for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Just
like
throw it
and,
away.
we're looking at something happening. We're looking, and then like 2 seconds later, I look back, and you're like I'm in it. I'm going in. Like,
Fuck it.
you're like halfway there, and I'm
They
like
keep
shit.
popping me with a couple shots from far away. I'm like, fuck that, baby. Let's get into this shit. And
Yeah,
sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. But when it don't,
yeah.
what else? Give me some other weakness. All right, I'm gonna get to you. Strengths. I mean, I don't know if I would say fun to play with as a strength because that's just I think I mean I'm gonna say it anyway because obviously you are fun to play with. Me and you've been playing forever. It's always like nice to play with you. We don't get angry. We just or chill, like you were saying, and we would turn things whatever into like something funny.
We've never gotten
And
angry. I don't think.
yeah, no, I've been annoyed,
Yeah,
but like it's usually because you would leave like it would be like a constant thing you'd do. So like this is I don't want to let me get to that when I get to your weaknesses because
yeah, yeah,
then I'll
yeah.
say it. But like then we but like your strengths like you're definitely mechanical. You can get a game real fast. That's why I knew like when we played Rocket League with transition, I was trying to get you to play Rocket League with us. I was like, I know
Yeah.
it's like he's gonna do just fine. He'll catch up fast, and especially with us like able to guide you and be like, well, stop doing this because of this. You don't want to do that because of this. So blah blah blah. I just know you're gonna pick it up fast because you already are a good competitive gamer. You have the mindset. You know how to read people and be like, well, what does he want? What is he looking for? What am I going to do? How am I going to fake that? Like you got to think one step ahead and know what your opposition wants and what you're trying to do. I know you have the mindset to do that. I know you're mechanical. I think Rocket League is a very mechanical game, but it's not super quick mechanical as Fortnite. Fortnite's like bah, 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 like there's shit going on like so fast and like a split
Yeah.
second stuff. Obviously I'm way better mechanically in Fortnite than Rocket League, so you could say like, well, how can you say that? But like it's just because of the time and the effort put in. But like
Yeah.
but anyway, so if you could do that, I'm like you can do this, you can get to wherever I'm at pretty quick. So like you're definitely mechanical. You have a good mindset on it. I know that like if as long as you have the passion behind the game, that you're gonna like succeed in it. I was like, just know he's not gonna like have fun with us fucking grinding out here. Um,
It took me so
you,
long to like want to try a different game. So crazy.
yeah, but you have like you fit, you can fit the mold well with like me and your personalities. Where like I operate best when I do get to like shot call, and it's not because whatever like I find like if I'm not shot calling, I feel like I'm starting. I guess maybe it's just because I'm not used. I'm just used to it with playing with you for so long. But like when I ever get into a role where I'm not shot calling that much, I feel like I'm not as present in the game.
Right.
Because so sometimes I just feel like back, and sometimes I play worse because I feel like I'm just there, and like I just feel like I don't know. That's just like my little whatever quirks. So I think like our personalities mesh well when we play, and but you fit the role well. Where like you know what to voice, you know what to like what where to like say, hey, let's go this way, and like I will listen like many times. It's not like I'm just like a fucking dictator over here, like no. We're doing this. Like
Yeah.
it's like no. Let's go this way. All right, let's fucking go that way. Let's go this way. It's like yeah, let's pull on over here. Like where are you at? Where do you want to go? Like all right, I'm going over here. So we have a good like. It's not just like I only make shot calls. Like you make plenty of calls during a game, and we just like go with it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's not like a total thing. Um, but like you're good at like communication and just like fitting the role, but still being present and giving giving your like uh no the way you assess the situation, like conveying that and being like, hey, this is I think we should do this instead. How about yeah, let's go that way or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Weaknesses. The main weakness you have, and I told you that before, is just you're panicking.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder this about on like a human personal level because like I get into positions that I'm panic playing. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
And you can see it on the high level pros when like if they're just in a situation that catches them off guards, they'll start to panic play. But like I can still reel it in
Yeah.
and whatever. You will like when shit would hit the fan or the stakes were high, you were just very panic playing where you play way less than your capability.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
before when I was like here's the tie back like when I would with like I've been annoyed before because
Yeah.
many times I'd be like, yo, keep moving, don't leave that window open too much. I'd look up and I'd see you just like looking for a fucking snipe somewhere. I'm like, but like, dude, like you're gonna get sniped because just a person you don't see is gonna hit you. And then ping, I'm like, ah, Jesus. And now we're getting whatever. So like you would like and then you would like leave a window open too long or not a window. Like you'd come in and like from an edit. Like we just got into a fight. There's a shit coming on and we have somebody coming. But then you would like panic to get in to get your heals and or something like that and leave the hole open and not like shut it,
Yeah.
whatever. So that would be like a repeating thing with like especially when we're in like normal play, it's fine. You don't do that. But when the stakes are high, like a tournament and we're doing well and we want to keep doing well, that's when the panic sits in and
Yeah.
that's when those mistakes would like come up. And then the only thing that I've told you before is that you can hear it in your voice and not your voice, your breathing. And yeah, like I've told you, I told you this before. You're like, do I do that? I'm like, yeah. Like I can tell when you're build playing me and we're like chilling, it's fine. But even if you're build battling me or something like that, if we're and just for people who don't know what that means, to say we're 1v1ing each other. If you were
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
against each other, you will your voice and if it gets tense and you're really trying hard, you'll start you can hear like a little like you can like it's not that bad. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's like you're holding your breath a little bit. You're like
Crazy, man.
and it's
It's
like
like I didn't
yeah,
even know I did that.
yeah. I remember telling you before. You're like, do I? I'm like, yeah, all the time. Every time, like it's
Holding my
tense.
breath.
It's like short, little, quick breaths. It's like, And like you don't hear that when you're like relaxed, like you don't do that. But once it's tense
Yeah.
and you're in a build battle, and I can just hear your breath like, and then I'm like, oh, he's there, he's there, he's feeling the pressure.
Yeah. That's so crazy, man. Yeah, it's seeing people play, like watching tournaments and shit, and seeing the things that people do in tournaments. And it's like, yeah, that's impressive, but it's also in front of a million people in a high
Yeah,
level tournament. It's
yeah,
crazy, like how people can just like Zen in Rocket League, like he's just insane
yeah,
and can just do like tricked out shit in like in pro games.
yeah,
It's like how do you? He just lives up to the name of just Zen. He just
yeah.
just doesn't take it seriously and just like focuses on the game and doesn't even like worry about anything else.
And I would say like that is just like that is as a former athlete that felt like that's a pretty good success or whatever. But
Yeah,
there's so many like correlations and things are between the both. Like
yeah,
there's a mindset. Like if you want to be a great gamer and like at that high level, like there's so much things that are very the same with like athletes as it
yeah,
is with like, and you can. It's not just like athletes and that. It's like kind of with anything. And if you want to succeed at a high level, there's a lot of carryover on what it takes. It's a lot of the same shit that it takes. It's hard work,
yeah,
learning your mistakes, fixing your mistakes, working on your mistakes, looking at what other people are doing right, trying to adopt those, try to think outside the box, try to think about what you can do better. And it's just hard work grinding on those things, working on your mechanics, working on that mindset. Like a little thing with like mindset, like well, you'll hear a bunch from this is back in League of Legends when I was like grinding and trying to be good. People would be like, don't worry about your rank. Stop worrying about your rank. Worry about just if you want to get better, like every mistake you have and everything you're doing, like something that goes wrong, like analyze why did I die right there? Why did I give up that goal? Why did I whatever it is? Why did I do that?
yeah,
What did I do? What could I have seen before it even happened and I got to this point? Was there a point of no return? All right, well, what could I have done before we got to the point of no return so I can like mitigate that? Instead of being like, so take all the deaths, take all the whatever as like learning tools, instead of being like getting mad and raging at it and be like, fuck, God damn it. Like, you know what I mean? And just not learning anything and just repeating the same shit over and over and over again. The people
yeah.
who become great, they're not concerned about the rank like that at that, like when they're trying to get better and stuff like that. They're just wanting to just
Mhm.
be better. And like, that is a strong mindset. And that carries over to like almost like everything in life. And like if anybody else that's like doing good at things like that or want to focus, they have this, they share the same exact quality.
Yeah.
And like just like that dedication and like trying to like work on the things you're weak at. And what I love in like it wouldn't matter, this wouldn't apply in track, but like let's say you're playing football or basketball or something where you're in a whatever like in PvP kind of games, you have to be able to read your opponent, the baiting, understand what they want to do, what you think they want to do. Is he baiting me? You try to say, you're always trying to think ahead. Like, I'm going to bait him with this. Sometimes it's too obvious of a bait. I got to sell this bait
Yeah.
to make him think I'm going to go do this, but I'm actually going to go do this. And then I'm like, what if he's trying to bait me into this? Well, I think he's baiting. That looks like a bait. It wouldn't make sense because of what everything else. That's got to be a bait. He's probably going to go do this. So then I might accept his bait, make him think I'm going to take that bait. He like capitalizes on what he thinks is what he wants, and then I'm actually going to counter his counter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's like just like what happens in like all like gaming at high levels and in sports and just like that psychology of like reading people and it's in real time in the moment. I just love that shit, and I think that's like it just carries over to like everything.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I love that aspect of gaming. The counter, like it's the mind game. It's like a game of chess, but it's just like I think for me, I needed to maybe practice my mechanics, be more comfortable, confident with my mechanics, to be able to like not have to focus on mechanical shit too much, so I could play smarter and not have to like
That's
how do
definitely a
I
fact.
like
That's I
like
mean that's definitely a
make
thing.
make
Yeah.
the edit like yeah like stressing about making the edit shit. I just wasn't practicing enough because if that was like because once that becomes like muscle memory, you can just kind of hone in on what the fuck you want to do.
Yeah. Once you're less
And then you
thinking
can like,
about the little details, like, all right, where do I got to put my thumb? Where do I got to put whatever? You're just thinking about,
yeah.
you're thinking out here. That's just happening.
And then you look at your opponent and like, what's up, motherfucker? You know what I mean? Like you're just like playing a game. Like this
Yeah.
is what I'm gonna fuck you up. You know what I mean? Like even that mentality of like I'm gonna fuck you up is like probably if you wanted to test it placebo wise, probably like yields some positive results as opposed to being like, oh, this is a situation I'm in now. I hope I can get out of this, rather
Hmm.
than just being like, I'm gonna fuck this person up.
Yeah. 'Cause I've listened to so many people talk shit about like gamers and shit like that, but like I it's like the people who get good too, like you're learning shit. And I just don't know though at the same time is like for instance, I haven't played basketball in forever, but when I play when I'm gaming and then I start to play get into a basketball game or something, and I would be like, you would see the same shit in like so teamwork, the things you learn in a game in like gaming. Don't drag your team down. Stop. Don't be
Yeah,
an ass. Don't because then they're gonna be like even if they are talk shit back to you, you're gonna get in their head. Now they're gonna second guess when they have a shot or whatever they have an opportunity. They're gonna second guess themselves. They're gonna perform worse because they know your ass
yeah,
is over there, or whatever. They can't just like be in the moment and focus. They make a mistake, like it's all good, it's all good, it's all good. Don't worry about it. Yeah, let's just play. Let's just do this from now on. Let's play like
yeah.
League of Legends. Like I let's not jump all over the place real quick, but like in basketball, I remember like I would see people just being assholes. I'm like, dude, what the hell? You're like, you're wide open, or it's like, yo, I passed it to you so you can shoot. You know what I mean? And then now they're like tense about their own shit. So the person that you're, and even if you're right, yeah, you're right. He should have, or he maybe not always drain the shot, but like, I passed it to you for a reason. Like you were wide open. You should have took the shot, not passed it back. Now not all the defenders that you had like a wide open shot, just take it. Or something like that, right? But if you say it like
Yeah.
negatively, now you're in their head. So now every time, now he's gonna try to take the shot when he shouldn't have taken the shot, or he's just gonna like
Yeah,
do
yeah,
things. Even though if he thinks you're an asshole, he's still gonna like you're in his head more about his own thing instead of him being able to like be free out there. And it's like that kind of stuff is just not good for teamwork. If you're gonna and like that's the same thing that can carry over from like a very sport to a video game. It's like that kind of
yeah.
thing. And like in League of Legends, I was stuck plat for a while. And it sounds shitty because in so many games, like, like it's been like getting diamond was not hard in Rocket League and whatever. But in League of Legends, the talent pool was so high that like getting diamond was like was hard. It was very hard. And like I
He's like
felt like
champ.
you were top. So like right now, like I think we're like in if we look at what top we like if we're diamond players in Rocket League, if you look at what we are
Yeah.
like top percentage, it's not like that impressive. If you're top, and
No.
I don't know what it is right now, but at the time you were top 2% of all gamers if you were in diamond back in League of
Damn.
Legends, which is a pretty high bar, and a lot of people were playing League
It's
of
almost like
Legends.
grand champ. It's like grand champ almost.
Some yeah, and so like when you have that kind of like it just was hard to get there. So I was like, anyway, plat, I was hard stuck forever. I just wanted diamond for like 3 seasons in a row. I was just like hard stuck plat 2, plat 1 at the best probably. And I was just be plat 2. The only thing I changed, I felt like I was just as mechanically good as I ever was. I didn't think I just got some mechanical craziness. I just felt like the only thing I changed is if I didn't have anything nice to say, don't say it. That's it. And I would
Yeah.
struggle. I'd be like, you fucking like because in League of Legends, like you need to rely on your team.
Yeah.
And they would do something stupid that would cost like, why are we not attacking this when we could do this? Why did you just jump in right there when I was pinging the junglers coming or something like that? You know what I mean? That's just stupid.
Yeah.
I kept telling you not to do it. You did it. And like I would just be like, dude, what the hell? And then all of a sudden he's like, it's like, fuck you, dude. Blah, blah, blah. And now we're creating, like, we have a rift down there and whatever. And then in the top, if something like that, we can't even control. Say me and my teammate are doing just fine. But in the top lane that I can't control is doing some shit, and they're arguing with their own jungler, and now they're going back and forth. I would always be like, yo, just chill, guys. We got this. Just relax, stay in the pocket. We're fine. They're going to make a mistake. We'll capitalize on it. I'll just say things like if I didn't have anything nice to say, I just wouldn't say it. And like
Yeah.
I'd be close to type, I'd have shit typed out. I'm like, just stop, and I delete it. It'd be like whatever. But then that exact season, boom, I become diamond. And
Interesting.
all I did, there's nothing that was different. I was hard stuck forever. All I did is change my mentality. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to build my team. If I can't encourage people, I'm just not going to say it. If I'm that mad where I feel like I'm about to like talk shit, I'm just not going to say anything. And then if I can squeeze out something nice, yo, relax. It's fine. Even though if I'm like, yo, that was stupid, I would only do that. And boom, everything changed. And I got diamond.
That's a good mentality for like anything, man. You're going to yield better results
Yeah.
just by thinking positively. Trying to find like, it's like, all right, this is 97% bad. What's the 3% that's like, that's good? Okay, focus on that. And then you're just gonna, yeah, you're just gonna play better, and everyone else is gonna play better. But even just like in life, if you're just focusing on like, because life is like, I don't know how much percentage of life is bad, but there's a large percent. Sometimes it wavers. Sometimes it's like fucking 60% is bad. Sometimes it's like 10% is bad.
Yeah.
There's always gonna be some bad shit in life happening.
That's
And
what
it's always like people, yeah, people get caught up on like bad stuff is happening. Like this shouldn't be happening, almost as if like life should be 100% good.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not 100% good, then there's something wrong. Or if there's like one thing wrong, it's like, it's okay. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like things die for a reason. There's seasons for a reason. Like it's just part of life. So of course it's going to be negatives, but like, yeah.
You just got to learn how to thrive in the bad.
Yeah.
Because
And
it's
some people,
common. It's common. It's all life is not going to chill. It's going to keep throwing shit at you no matter what.
yeah.
It's not going to chill. So you just need to learn how to manage it, how to thrive in that. And when you have those skills, then it doesn't matter what it's going to throw at you. Like you know how to
and like
get through it.
there's probably the odd person that's like a weird character class who like thrives on being negative. Maybe somewhere out there, like Azula in like, have you watched Avatar, the cartoon?
Not the new one. No, a cartoon Avatar.
Like the old
cartoon. No, I didn't watch it.
Okay, oh man, such a good anime. But it's like super. You could watch it with Tannis. It's like very like lighthearted, like good morals towards kids and shit. But like it's also like really good to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's some people out there that thrive in negativity. Sure, like for the most of us.
But are
it
they
doesn't do us any good.
You know, like how do they feel inside?
I don't know. Putin's doing pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the hard. Yeah, right. How does he feel about himself?
Yeah,
Probably
apparently he's a big germaphobe.
Is he? I know he was definitely scared of COVID for sure. He was like frightened.
Yeah. Why is that like kind of like adorable? It's like this is like all powerful person. Yeah.
That is funny.
Scared of a little COVID.
Because he was like definitely scared. He was definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I was very scared when it first popped on the scene because I didn't know what was going on when it was like, yo, shit's happening, blah blah blah. I was so scared for my little one. I was like, I'm ready to close down. Maybe we're gonna figure this shit out.
Tannis was like 1 year old, wasn't
he? Something like that. 2020, yeah.
Yeah.
And like I'm not trying to have none of that go his way. But then when I saw kids weren't being affected, I'm like, all right, that's cool. And then just more information was coming, all that. I was scared when Ebola was coming out. Back I lived in LA and Ebola, I remember there was somebody who was like, I just remember seeing like a helicopter shot of this like hospital. There's an Ebola guy in there or some shit like that. And I remember feeling like shit. I remember I changed it was me and my friend Melissa, the person who gave me that, and I'm gonna have her on the podcast soon. She our Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
she gave me that.
Okay. Yeah.
Our Wi-Fi at the time we called it Ebola virus. Or it was just Ebola. It was just Ebola. It was our Wi-Fi.
Ebola. That's hilarious.
But
what did it used to be called? Corona. Remember that was like we got the Rona, and then everyone started calling it COVID.
Isn't it crazy that Corona sales went like plummeted?
That's so cool. Yeah, it's wild,
It's
man.
like they had nothing to do with it. Like they didn't
It
do
could have went.
anything.
It could have
But
went
the
one of both
people,
ways, honestly.
it's hilarious. Yeah, it could have. Like if it went, I feel like in America we should have done the most American thing possible, and the sales should have went through the fucking roof.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how we should have handled
People
that.
stop buying Corona. Like that's wild,
Yes,
man.
it's how you
The
like
power of the mind
like
and like
like that had
marketing.
anything to do with anything. It's just called Corona. It's coronavirus. That has nothing to do with anything. You already
Yeah,
drank Corona. Drink your damn Corona. Like there's nothing there. But it's funny that people were like, ah, fuck this Corona shit. Zero. And like their sales plummeted. I would have loved to have seen it skyrocket. At least here
that'd
in
be
America,
hilarious.
because that's how we get down.
Speaking of beer, I've been trying to drink light beers, and I went to like this liquor store that's like pretty close by. They don't have much shit. It's like pretty small, but like these were like $10 more than everything else. But I was not going to get caught drinking a Bud Light on this podcast. Not a chance.
Fuck it, dude.
Not a chance,
He
bro.
said no. We'll spend
I
that
actually
ten
kind of like
bucks.
Bud Light,
Yeah.
but that's unfortunate for them.
Yeah, their sales. Yeah.
It just wasn't the right call because like most of the people that were drinking Buds are like right wing people that got older and now they're drinking Bud Light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you just ruined your entire
Yeah. You
demographic.
just knifed them. Especially in this political climate too. I don't know. Like what
Nothing against what they're doing, but like it's
yeah.
just it wasn't smart. Like, what are you trying to do? You're trying to
Yeah.
get a bunch of like, are you trying to cater to the queer community? You want the queer community to be like drinking Bud Light? Like, that's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, it was a bad move. That's a bad move.
Yeah.
That's a bad
Yeah.
move.
It's always fun to like watch giant failures like that.
Yeah.
Just
Speaking of shit,
extremities.
I want to jump into this.
Yeah.
I want to get into the weeds with you.
Let's do it.
So this is the way I see this. You sent me something on it. We send shit to each other almost every day on Instagram, and but like I don't know if it was I almost said a year ago. I don't know if it was a year. It might have been like 6 months ago. But a while ago, you sent me something about like Anunnaki kind of shit.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you sent me something like that, and then I knew about, a lot about it, but I just in the moment I was surprised that I was like, oh okay, because I've known you for a long time. Nothing like that. Like we haven't gotten too in the weeds of conspiracies or whatever or that kind of like angle or anything before. So like I didn't know. And you sent me something. I'm like, all right. And then you sent it again, another like more recently. You sent me another one, and then I was like, oh, he's like kind of into it. And then you sent me another one, and then I'm like, oh, he's into it, into it. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna
Yeah.
save all this shit for the podcast. And
Hell yeah.
then I sent you something, whatever. And I definitely want to like go into that, but there's something I did want to touch on that you said pre-recording that I did find interesting. That you said like when 9/11 happened, you found yourself kind of going down like a conspiracy like rabbit hole kind of thing, whatever. Now with like
Oh yeah.
COVID and all that, you find yourself kind of going back into that. And even though like that those are unrelated, the Anunnaki kind of thing with COVID and whatever, but just going in that rabbit hole, or you know what I mean? It like piqued your interest
Yeah.
more, like and like tying a major event with seeing like that feels like bullshit, and then going down a certain like way of thinking, and this happening again, and then going down another like way of thinking again. I thought that was interesting because I never like in my own self never like paired that before.
Mm. Yeah, the jet fuel can't melt steel beams kind of shit. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was I was deep into conspiracies 20 years ago. And then maybe deep into it for like a couple months recently, going through a breakup and stuff. I think my brain just went to Instagram Reels. I
Yeah.
cooked my algorithm. I was getting nothing but like I was getting some pretty heinous stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Anunnaki stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about it, but it kind of makes sense in a way. Like I know aliens.
Can you
Like
explain for people who probably don't know?
Anunnakis. They're like they would be referred to as this like an alien civilization that came here. I don't know how many years ago. I don't even know, 10, 20,000 years ago. Who knows? And then would have genetically modified humans, or no, sorry, genetically modified apes to make humans, uh, which kind of lines up with Christianity and a lot of like religions, which is weird. And they basically made us to like mine minerals and like gold for them, amongst
You'd
other
have to
things.
expand on that for somebody who doesn't know. Expand on the because it's not apparent. I understand what you mean, but like the aligning with Christianity,
Yeah,
because like they would be like, there's
yeah,
nothing in Christianity that says that that they modified us. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Our
But like God, like
apes. So like,
if you think of what
what do
like
you mean?
what is like if you think about God, like what is God? God is just like by definition your creator. And if this is true, if it's true that like another, I mean, it's not unlikely that another like alien civilization would come here and do that. We would do that if we were like super advanced and we got to another planet and there was like a super low advanced creature, but like we could modify them to like make something that would work for us. We'd fucking do it.
I'm also
So it's not
thinking.
out of the
I'm also thinking about something. In counter to that, I never thought about this before.
yeah.
If you're that advanced to where you can genetically modify and like all right you don't have it completely correct also, I'll just say that as far as what
Okay.
the idea is, but we can get to that in a second. But um let's say you're advanced enough to genetically modify a evolving creature, um so something of the caliber of a human being. Why can't you just make, and you need to, and you want to harvest minerals? Why do that as opposed to just making your own drones? Why not have your just drone population? If you can do that, why not make clones? Why not make drones, things that you don't value, and do the same thing on the planet, terraform the planet with them that aren't you guys? You guys don't have to do the work, and you have them do it. And they're more
Maybe
efficient.
resources are
You know what I
limited.
mean?
Ooh, or maybe on
Ah,
their
the
maybe on their
gold that they
planet,
needed. Oh, that's good.
or just like maybe on their planet, there's like a shit ton of different like alien civilizations, and if they wanted to do something like us, like there's a whole bunch of regulations you got to go through. There's a bunch of different tribes that would be like fuck that. Whereas if they just get the fuck out of there and land on another planet, there's no regulations here. They can do whatever the fuck they want. You know what I mean? Like if an alien life form from a different planet, I think we just kind of assume that whole planet is full of just them,
Yeah.
but it'd be more different than that. Like it could be like we could be way more intricate than our like Earth. If it was like three times the size, it would have like so many different civilizations. Like someone who's like Chinese, who's Russian, who's fucking like living in Antarctica, who's like Canadian, who's American. Like those are four different, probably four different cultures. I'm gonna say like Canada and America are pretty much the same, but like you got wildly different, like kind of structural whatever where you got different cultures. So there's definitely different cultures amongst aliens as well on the same planet even. So maybe they're
Yeah.
just like we're gonna find this planet, no regulations, we're gonna do whatever the fuck they want we want. No one's gonna know about it. Who knows?
But my point would be like, if you have the technology to do that, why not just make clones or drones or something that could just do it more efficiently off the bat? And don't rely on like food and water to energize themselves, and you know what I mean? Or what would be,
We
do you see what I'm saying?
because we destroy them like on our planet.
Not
Oh,
not if they not if we can't.
not if we weren't made.
Yeah,
Right.
there you go, right?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't seem like the most efficient. But like, I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong. I'm just saying
Yeah.
I never thought about it before, that aspect. Why there's a more efficient way if you have the technology to do it than let this long burn go and create human beings and whatever. I think we should touch back a little bit. So like the idea, like you had, it's the Sumerians, is where a lot of this comes from, right? Sumerians is
Yeah, yeah.
credited with like probably the earliest civilization. Now you got the ancient apocalypse thing with like a Graham Hancock, that there's probably much more technologically advanced civilizations way in the past, even before that, and then cataclysms came
Yeah.
via comets or whatever, and kind of like stop civilization. And these new people, these people that they thought were gods, were people that were like survivors from the old times and carrying a lot of their new whatever. So there was already like, that's more not saying the whole, this has nothing to do with the genetically modifying part, but there's an idea that there was an old, technologically much more advanced civilization way in the past, and then cataclysm came, survivors came to like new spots of the land, and those were people that looked like God, were like gods to them, and that they and
Mm.
some stories will like traverse, like this guy came across the water, this guy blah 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 whatever, and like, and that's why you have like, you know, pyramids and showing up all over the world and things like that are still in today, that are not like even like the Egyptians, and then you have and like the fucking like, I don't know, the
Mayans.
yeah, but out there, there's another one with a P out there. Anyway, whatever.
There's Persians.
Yeah, no, not them. But yeah. So like the Mayans had they're like pyramids. They're like step pyramid things, whatever. But like there's a bunch all over the world, and just like the way they built their structures and how they did it, how did they do that, and all over the place. Like you see that are separated by this crazy body of water, and if you adhere to the normal way that things have gone, like the school book text of this is how it is, like how does that like explain some like that kind of thing. And then a lot of them, there's like seemed to be a flood. Like you have the flood in the Bible, right? And then the floods seem to have happened. A lot of these cataclysm events like brought up on you're melting like when a meteor comes down and things are burning over there, the ice caps are melting, and then you get a flood, and then those things could all be related or like had root and facts, and those are the stories that get like passed down, and then it gets altered by people being people and whatever. So like but the original like Anunnaki thing is like they had the Sumerian text that like I think it mainly comes from Zechariah Sitchin, who like kind of would look at the text and like say like, or like interpret it as there were gods from like heaven to earth they came from the sky, they manipulated an already evolving civilization. So like, so it doesn't discount like evolution's going on. They see a certain point, and then they genetically manipulate them to create us. Why is there like a doubling in the human brain mass over an X amount of period, which it still baffles like scientists and stuff like that. Like, why are those the case? And that could be something like that. That could have happened.
Yeah.
And then maybe what it comes down to is why are they not still around? Why didn't they harvest it, whatever? Because they might have been divisions within themselves, which people say. You had Enki and then Lil. You had one was good, one was like kind of little like shit towards us or whatever. One like, so like maybe that division, it wasn't just like a uniform idea of like, all right, let's create these guys to whatever and treat them like shit and make them be slaves pretty much. And the other one was like, no, just they're people. They have their own whatever. Let them, you know what I mean? A little bit more like freer. So maybe there was a division there, and that is part of the reason that might like refute kind of what I was saying. Like, why did you just come down and like make drones and whatever? I don't know. But like, but it comes from the Sumerians, and which is credited with the earliest civilization, which came out with like, they had, I don't remember everything that they had, but like, you know, what their credit was so many like the first this, like, well, like first mathematics, first astronomy, first this, and it's like the first one, and boom, all of a sudden they got this like all this shit down pat. And they have like tablets where they show that the sun is like that is the center of our solar system, and all these planets around it that are like identical to the way we see the planets. They can see Saturn's rings and stuff like that. How do you know Saturn has rings when you don't have a telescope and shit like that? You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Like, those are the things that like add to the idea of like, well, how do they know that? But then you can also go the ancient apocalypse route that seems a little bit more rooted in things that we can really get or like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine there was a more previous advanced civilization, and through whatever the hell happened, like meteors, whatever, you know what I mean? The floods, all that, wipe that shit fucking clean.
Oh,
Yeah, you're frozen. Oh, you're back. You're back.
okay.
And when that wipes it clean, you have survivors, and those survivors are conveying that knowledge still to the people to the other survivors from like less, you know what I mean? They're just like the more like grassroots caveman esque kind of thing, and you're conveying your knowledge, these high things, the different technologies on how they were able to move stones and this like that from that far. How were they able to like fit them that way and cut them in a certain way, and that we just wouldn't understand if they're just using a stone and chisel and ropes and you know what I mean, things like that. Like how would they do that? It could make sense that an older civilization could have given that technology, and over time that shit was lost. And you would think like today, everything's online, everything's whatever. If our civilization gets wiped, how many people are writing text these days and writing our, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all internet. When the internet, if you blow out our fucking servers, then what's left? What are we still showing as far as like,
And that shit,
you know what I mean, information
yeah,
wise?
that shit grows over. Like we just know the planet, the surface of the planet. Like that shit grows over. Like there's so much depth. Like there's shit buried like feet, miles below the earth that are just, it's just there. It's just, the earth just takes over, man. Like, yeah, it'd be very plausible that if we got wiped out, yeah, what would be left over? And what would be left over wouldn't make much sense. Like if you just got little snapshots of like,
Yeah.
oh, we found, I don't know, we found like an anchor or something. It's like, well, what was this used for? Oh, they must have had ships. All right, well, they traveled using ships or something. You know what I mean? They had that level of technology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like they find pottery that's like cut from like limestone, and it's like
Yeah,
almost perfect, like symmetry.
yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
how
yeah.
do you get something that hard? And it's like choosing. Why would I choose the hardest thing to do instead of making something that also works? Like we're just doing efficiency. Like why am I cutting this vase out of limestone and making it perfect? Why would I? And I'm using a fucking chisel and shit. Why would I
Yeah,
take on the hardest thing ever to do? I mean, there's art there too, but like
yeah,
then you have to get like the how perfect it was. Like how do you
yeah,
get it so symmetrical? And
yeah. It's almost
with
as
just that,
if,
it doesn't make sense. So why would you take that on unless it was not as hard as we think it is?
and if there was some humans that survived, like if we got wiped out, but some people survived, you'd be privy to the idea that it can happen again. So you'd probably want to do something that would like make future generations think about it. Like let people know, like give people little clues as to like what the fuck happened. You know what I mean? Like you want to show like, yeah, we were super advanced. Yeah. The pyramids are crazy. There's a lot of stuff like that. That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
A lot of
And
anomalies in the
they
world.
also say that a lot of things that we could find from way back in the day, because all like big major civilizations or whatever big cities are all by the water. But if you
Yeah.
adhere to like an ancient apocalypse kind of theory, all that, since the water rose more, all those former coastal cities would be underwater now.
Yeah.
So instead of looking
Yeah.
into the land that we have now, you would look to where you look underwater, where what used to be, and that's where
Yeah.
you could find like different things. I gotta pee
Yeah.
again. I'll be right back.
For sure. For sure.
All
Yeah. There's a
right.
whole lot of shit. So one thing I thought of recently was, so I went down a rabbit hole, got out of a breakup, and just like, yeah, I was watching some stuff on Instagram, and my reels just got cooked. I was like, it was just Andrew Tate after Andrew Tate, Trump
Mhm.
videos, and I was like, you know, at first I was like, I just wanted to see what was going on, and after a while, I was like, this is kind of getting kind of bad. And it's interesting that like I started dating someone, and she saw my Instagram reels and was like, this isn't good, and she like took it upon herself to try and fix it by sending me like cute like cat videos or some shit. And my reels are back to normal now. They're back to
Yeah.
normal. And I gotta say, like, I don't think about that shit as much anymore. Like I don't think like I'd be getting videos of like, you know, of the like, you know, gender equality and like kind of just like quite like guys like interviewing women on like call them out on bullshit, and like you watch that and you get an emotional reaction. Like, and now I just don't care anymore. Now I just like I'm like my reels are back to normal, and I feel happier,
Yeah.
which is interesting that critical thinking brings you down a conspiracy rabbit hole and makes you feel worse about things. It's almost as if it's like designed that way to like if you start thinking outside the box, you also get lumped into misogyny and like ignorance and like you're wearing the tinfoil hat, you look kooky, and it's almost just like it's a package deal. It's a package deal. Critical thinking's lumped in with some negative things, and it's
Hmm.
maybe like I don't know if that's by design or not, but I'm happier now with my reels fixed, and I'm not thinking about that shit as much anymore.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to me. It's like, okay, well now I'm better off, but now I'm not thinking about it as much. So it's like it's a win-win for, you know, those who do have these like strange plans that we don't know about that are it's just based on profit. Like it's not like there might be a good and evil aspect of like, people getting together and being like, we're gonna do this to like change the world and like there could be like a deeper metaphysical goal or something, like
Hmm.
but I think the simple term is it's just a money. It's just people just do some crazy shit for money and then we just kind of accept it and we accept like the answers they give us as well. But I just found that was interesting. It's like, my reels got fixed. I feel better, but I'm not thinking as critically anymore about this stuff. I just like stop thinking about it as
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
So
would
if you,
think,
yeah, you can fix your reels. If they get cooked, you can you can fix them.
yeah.
Yeah, they were pretty cooked.
I don't know what to say too much about that because I'd be like, part of me is like, because is it? I understand what you're saying, but I don't know if it comes down to. That's what I'm just trying to work out in my head. Like, does it work? Does it come down to? Because I don't really get too emotionally invested in when I see a lot of like the bullshit. Like, it
Yeah,
doesn't bother me too much, but there got to be some subconscious level of like like. Or like so maybe you just shouldn't like so I wake up in my bed and I'll like pull up Instagram before I get out of bed and I start to scroll and whatever. And like, maybe that's just not good in general, right? You're gonna like why
it's the
start your
worst
day
habit.
with some
Yeah,
like BS or just whatever comes your way. Just like get out of the bed and get work, get busy. Um but like I don't really get too like wrapped up. I don't get like angry over things like that. So I don't know if it comes down to the person or like it just I don't get like too emotionally invested in it, so it doesn't bother me too much. And even when I'm like thinking about like if I'm thinking about like like the alien stuff or like they had those like hearings in America. I don't know, but if you know about those that just happened
mm,
recently with Congress.
I don't think so.
Yeah, they were explaining. Pretty much, they had some hearings, UFO hearings about like
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I've seen
okay,
those.
yeah.
Yeah,
So like that kind of stuff, it doesn't bother me when I see like like the right wing, left wing battles and whatever. Like even if I don't agree or disagree, it doesn't sit with me that much. It's like
Mhm.
I just feel like that's just what this is what they do. I mean, people with the loudest voices right now are I don't think represent the majority of people. I don't think the majority of
Yeah,
people because I see the majority of people. I hear them and whatever, and like most people are chill and you can have a conversation, and some you can't. But that's with anything. Some people are assholes. Some people
yeah,
don't know how to fucking talk. It's just, but like the loudest
yeah,
voices tend to seem, and it's always in your face. So you see it, you think everybody thinks that way. You think whatever. I just like have like an idea of like I don't believe that that's how majority of people really actually are, and then but that does influence people a lot. But I feel like a little. I don't feel as like captured by it.
mm,
Like definitely get like don't wake up and do the Instagram shit. That's something I
I
need to get
know.
better at. But I don't know if it's necessarily making me less happy to be in it. Because I sometimes I find joy in like a good conspiracy. I find joy in it. Like
Yeah, that's good
it's
shit.
fun. And then what's weird too is like I don't get into like my uncle. I told you he was QAnon. I can't wait for him to get on the podcast. I can't wait. But
That's gonna
he's
be
a
insane. Yeah.
huge QAnon guy. I mean, he's there with the adrenochrome and that the elites are like sacrificing children and he's
Honestly,
talking
man,
about
they
the
could be
royals and
though.
over there. I don't know about the
They could be, man.
adrenochrome thing. I think there's more. There's high pedophilia rings still going on for sure.
Yeah, but those, yeah, that would definitely. But like
Yeah.
those, like sacrifices and shit. Like, there's a reason why, like, it's in our lore. Like, there's a reason why that exists in like, fucking horror movies or whatever the fuck. Like, it's there is like such thing as like black magic kind of deals, and like it's like, yeah, those things they'll get you what you want. They'll get you material things. Like,
Like the
that shit
quick
exists
gain.
for sure. Yeah, and like if you think about sacrificing like a human being, like
Yeah, but
that's a
why?
pretty
You
big.
have to really believe what you're. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying that. I just don't
Yeah.
think that like Obama sacrificed any kids. I don't think the Clintons sacrificed any kids. I think the Clintons
Yeah,
have had
I
people
don't think
killed.
that.
I think that the
Yeah,
Clintons have had people killed. And I think Bill Clinton definitely did some fuckery on Epstein Island, and I think that. But I don't think they were sacrificing kids for their adrenochrome. I don't believe that there's
probably
a
not.
reptilian race that is secretly the pretty much the movers of society, the elites, and the reptilian alien race is hidden behind a different film of reality, a different vibration. They're able to look like humans and all like that. I don't
Maybe
believe in
though.
that. Oh, you're there
Maybe though,
too.
because
You're there too.
well, I don't think about like I don't think like reptilians, but like I think of depictions of like you think of a reptile, you think something that can shapeshift. It's a simple concept. It's like the most basic concept you can think of. You can tie it to,
Well, like a
much
camouflage.
like yeah, much like I don't know in the Bible. My belief is that angels in the Bible are actually like aliens or extraterrestrial beings. And if like, because I've seen, man, we can get into this more, but when I used to live on this like in this like small town with no light pollution, I would see UFOs all the fucking time. Like UFOs, and they'd be balls of light flying around, zipping around different directions, stopping, fucking going. It was crazy. So like, and they were glowing white. So if you were to like depict a person or like a being that could fly, like you'd give them wings because you don't know what the airplanes don't exist. So you just give them wings because birds can fly. These guys can fly. Give them wings, and they're glowing
Mm.
white, glowing white orbs. All right, they're wearing all white, and they have like a little halo that's a circle, which is the same shape as a UFO ball, and it's glowing
Oh,
white.
we getting deep. I never heard of that correlation.
So the same thing would be like for the reptilians. Like I don't really believe in that shit either, but like it's plausible to the point where like the concept is simple enough to understand for anyone. You say a reptile person, you would think, okay, yeah, someone who can shapeshift. Because like shapeshifting is a pretty difficult thing to grasp. It's a pretty advanced idea to grasp, but if you just simple it down to that, like dumb it down to that, and then depict that as like a being that looks like a reptile walking, it's like, oh, okay, you get the idea. It's the same thing as like the angel thing, but like there's like an advanced species that either is left over from previous catastrophes or they are from a different planet and they just have cloaking devices, cloaking technology, like really good cloaking tech. I don't think they're wearing like fucking masks and like giving us speeches and shit, but maybe.
Yeah. Well, some people think it's like so. Like a lot of the reptilian control thing comes from David Icke, and he would say he brings it from the past, but
Okay.
he would say like it's they're hidden behind visible light. So you have different like what we can detect with our ability because like you have radio waves that are coming through all the time and like
Yeah.
we just don't see them like that kind of thing that between visible light they're able to like shroud themselves to look like normal people and make decisions and all that and that they are the ones that are having humans bring kids and their purity to sacrifice and get their blood and that kind of thing.
Damn.
That's kind of what I'm sure there's thousands of variations of that belief on what direction they want to go, but like that's at least one of them. That's one of the main ones. Because my uncle
That's
would
so
be
dark,
into
man.
that.
Like we think that's dark, but you like that shit's so fucking dark. Like if you
Imagine
like ever
this
watch like
too.
and
Sorry, go ahead.
that's wild. Or just like watching like those like weirdo documentaries of like, like just weird families that are just like all like murderers and they do some weird satanic shit. Have you seen what was it called? It had like Woody I'll try and fucking look it up.
Woody and Buzz.
True detective. True detective.
Go on.
Woody Harrelson and fucking Matthew McConaughey. Right? Am I getting that right? Yeah, I'm getting that right. True Detective. It was a good series. The first season's about this like weirdo family that did a bunch of weird shit. They killed people. They slept with each other, and they did some weird like I don't know, just like I don't think we as people like as like innocent folks can like understand how dark sacrificing a child would be. Like that's just like they're living in a different world. If people
Oh, you froze on me.
is kind of cutting off.
Yeah, I think you're coming back. Your videos. Yeah, there you go. You're good.
All right, I'm not sure what's going on with the internet, but they're just like vastly different. Like they're not going to Sobeys to get like a pint of ice cream on a Friday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they're 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 doing some or a grocery store, whatever. I don't know if you guys have Sobeys and probably not in the States, but
like I would say, like
yeah.
yeah, they that I mean that exists, and it'd be so hard to just empathize with that because it's so outside of our reality. But is that what's in control right now at a high level doing that in secret? Are human beings capable of it? Yes. Is that what is going on at high levels? I mean, I do think there is high level pedophilia rings still.
Oh
Epstein
yeah.
had his thing, and I think why we haven't released the black books. We haven't, his little his blacklist names and all that. We haven't. There was been so many ones though. Like there's an anime. What the fuck I'm talking about? There's a documentary called Conspiracy of Silence where there was like I don't know if it was an orphanage or what, but
Ooh, I saw something pick on.
they were it was in the UK, and they're like look the reporters are like looking this up and talking to people, and they're saying there was like some high level prominent people, we don't want to say their names or whatever, the kids were because they were scared, and then like authorities were kind of almost coming this is if I haven't seen this in a long time, but I feel like the authorities were starting to come in and like kind of like stop them from continuing their like search, the reporters themselves, the journalists and the people making the documentary. There was something there. And then you have like Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile was fucking crazy. He was in with the Royals and royalty and things like that. And he's more of he was like a disc DJ. It's hard to say just how big he was. Like he was like fucking like he was like a big like larger than life character, and people loved him. He was always like donating and helping out like hospitals and things like that. But what he was also doing at the hospitals was taking those like kids and like having them do shit, and like and going there, these like people, the kids that were like even like orphanages and like people lost their family and like just like people were down and whatever. He was going in there with like kids and doing shit. And none of this comes out until after, like people were trying to have it come out, but it wasn't like, I don't think it was like officially like, oh, that shit happened until he was like already dead. But like there was like little moments, but he would battle it, but like it wasn't like he was never like convicted or anything like that. It was just, it didn't come out till like after he was dead, where it was like, yeah, that shit happened. But he was in with the Royals. He was huge. It was like, imagine, like, I'm trying to think of who, like, an art. I almost want to say like Joe Rogan, but Joe Rogan, so I wouldn't say like he's a very like flamboyant, like attention. I don't know, like, but somebody, imagine somebody on that level that the nation's like behind and like loves him and whatever, as far as the screen presence goes. And he's in with the Royals. He's like hanging out with like whatever. And then you think of the Royals, you think like, all right, you have Prince Andrew, who had the whole thing with Epstein. I think it was Andrew, right? And he's part of the Royals. Then you have Jimmy Savile, and he was connected with them, and it gets a little interesting. But then, like, if
Yeah.
you're the Royals, you know a bunch of people. So then maybe you can say you can accidentally, it's like, I would say, like, what's the likelihood you have an Epstein and you have a fucking Jimmy Savile connected to you guys, right? And
Yeah.
then it's like, but if you are the Royals, you'd be connected to so many people that maybe it's not that, if that's going on, that it's so crazy. You know what I mean? I don't know which way to whatever go.
And interesting though too that those people are successful in doing super dark shit with children. They're not just like Joe Blow, fucking can't pay his rent. They're like they're celebrity status. You know, part of me thinks like that kind of dark stuff equals success, at least in the in the material world. It equals success. But I would never fuck with it. I would never do any like weird ritual shit. That's a hard no. I was like,
What do you think's going on then? What's your take?
on just
Like
the state
the
of
way let's say,
affairs.
yeah, the state, like, kind of in, like, do you think um like geopolitically, or like a real big time bigger picture thing,
Oh yeah, the whole
what do
like
you
new world
think?
order, like that kind of shit. I
Yeah.
think that's definitely being implemented. I don't think it matters. It's just like, okay, it makes sense. I think the idea of a new world order is like it makes sense. So it's like if like China's basically already doing that shit. They already have a social credit score. They already have digital currency. Like they're already controlling their people. And it's like if that's the way the world's going anyway, we should like it, I guess we should probably get good at it and get ahead of it. You know what I mean? As a
I see what you're
civilization,
saying.
as like
I think
as a
what you
country.
just said, and it's is a bad segue from what I just said, or the way I presented. Like, I'm thinking from a third party. I'm with you, and I think I get where you're coming from. But I think if somebody was just listening, they'd be
Yeah.
like, "That's fucking crazy. You think that's okay?" But I think you kind of like jumped a little bit, and
Yeah.
there's a little disconnect because I don't think you're saying, like, as for what we just talked about with, like, let's say, like, there's, like, you have these pedophilia rings, and
Yeah.
you said there was a
Yeah.
possibility of, like, sacrifice and all that, and like, hey, if the world's going in this
Yeah.
direction, like, let them just do what they're doing. We'll just have to get better at doing this crazy shit than they are. But,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
they're I see what you're saying as far as, like, like the social credit score and all things like that. I don't think here's the thing. I don't think a social credit score is good at all, and I don't. But there is, like, what are you going to do when, like, even if it's not like in your face or credit score, but like what technology is going that way,
Yeah.
like you said, like as soon as
Yeah.
we're going to be augmented, whether it's glasses, whether it's contacts, whether it's like 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 Neuralink, or like something that you replace your eyes with, whatever. At some point,
Yeah.
technology is going to be like, I can look at you and be like, hey, what's up? Hey, do you want? It's like, hey, what friends? Oh, let me add you on Facebook. Tick, 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 tick. In my eyes, I can just add you, or I can see you, what's up,
Yeah.
whatever. You might not even have the opportunity to share it. Maybe at first you're able to share it. Like, no, I can't. I have to give you permission to see my social shit, and then I can accept it. Or we can
Yeah.
be friends just visually, and then you'll pop it up over your head or something, augmented, and I can see whatever. And then another point, it's not like that, and then it just kind of happens. I can see people who are you don't have to give me consent for me to, like, check your profile out and whatever. I can just look at you, and then that's innately will be a social credit score, even if we're not talking about it, because if you look bad, then
Yeah.
whatever, and then maybe what looks bad at one point, let's put it this way, like, if you're walking around and you don't believe in like, you don't think COVID is as bad as other people think, or the mainstream media think, when we're in the middle of lockdowns, and then people are scared, and they see, oh, we got one of those guys, and then we're going to associate, oh, he's probably a fucking Trumper, he's probably a this, we're just going to associate all these ideas with him just because I can see that he's not somebody who aligns this way, and now you're not favored in the mainstream like arc and narrative. So there we go, now it's like almost like a accidental social credit score at that point, because it's going to
Yeah.
be that way. Then people are going to act different and want their profile to look a certain way, because they know people get treated a certain way if they don't act like this, and they're going to change. You know what I mean? Then you're pretty much implementing a social credit score system without even, like, saying this is what it is.
Yeah.
It'll just kind of be that way. But then you have, like, like even to jump back a little bit further was like I think a lot of the stuff like to me a one world government isn't a bad idea. Like I feel like we're human beings and we're on Earth. Why do I need a passport to go on this side? Why can't I just go over there? Why can't they just come over here? Why can't we just like all this is Earth, we're humans. Like I think if you were an
Yeah.
alien race looking down, like they're all the same. Oh, just because they're a different color. You want to know why they're a different color? Because of like where their ancestors like kind of evolved with the pigment. Like the like if you're in a hotter climate towards the equator, you're going to be darker because you got to like you need more melanin in your system because of the sun. And then if you're in a lighter climate, you're going to need less. And it's and both are advantageous to you based on the amount of melanin as far as like the sun intake, vitamin D. So a lot of issues with like where people were like there was a conspiracy that like black people were like this and like in America or whatever that COVID was like might have been like aimed towards like black people or something like that because they might have been like disproportionately, and I don't know if this is true, this is what I've heard, that they were disproportionately like being ill by it. A
Yeah.
big if you look into whatever, like a big issue was vitamin D. They vitamin D deficiency, which pretty much all Americans are. A lot of indoor people
Right.
sitting in the house, not getting a lot of sun, that kind of stuff. That there are a lot of people are deficient in that. A lot of people aren't supplementing that if they're not in the sun and whatever. Who's going to have a harder time with vitamin D intake? Black people, because their
Yeah.
skin's gonna like they're not going to absorb as much because it's not that they don't get that much sun already as opposed to being closer to the equator. So if you're not getting that much sun, you're not, and then you're living like an American lifestyle where you're not, where everyone's already deficient because of the indoorness that we, you know what I mean, that we have, and then you don't
Yeah.
have a skin color that is going to absorb as much as somebody with fairer skin in this kind of climate. It depends on where you are in America, obviously, but you know what I mean. But so you add all that up, and then you have a sickness that it's not only vitamin D, but it seemed to be a pretty decent factor. Then you have a sickness that like that deficiency means something. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I forgot why I even started going in that direction. Oh yeah, so if you were an alien, well, that's crazy that I went this whole fucking route. But like, imagine being an alien race looking at Earth and
Yeah.
being like, oh, they're fighting against each other because of this, and they see the bigger picture. Like this is like they think they're different. It's just because of that, but they're acting like whatever. They're cornering themselves off. Now they have all these little segments. They're going to war over each other. They're the same shit. They're the same people. They're the same thing. They have different cultures because they're just like isolated in these different areas, and they grew up in certain like isolated from each other, and then cultures arose, and then they like integrated, and then some new cultures arose out of that integration, and blah 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 blah. It would look to you like I would imagine just look like wild, like yo, they're the same shit, just fighting over each other, fighting over whatever. Like it's kind of stupid. So like to me, in that
Yeah.
way, like a one world thing would be cool. But here's the caveat. Here's the biggest caveat. It would not be cool because the way we are and the way we've always been is like there's somebody dictating this. There's people doing shit behind the scenes. There's these not genuine leaders and whatever that are gonna like look to like gain power, steer shit in their aim or whatever like goals they have, and not what's best for the populace, whatever. So then, if you have a one world government, the problem becomes, well, now I have total control on whoever's there. Have total control of the planet, as opposed to whatever. So like in the utopian idea, it's just like people just being people. Go where you want, do what you want to do, whatever, whatever. But in what it would probably be would be very not cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think COVID was a way to like kind of test the waters on like that kind of living. Like everyone's locked down. Let's see how people react. Let's see what countries like see how different countries react. I feel like Canada might be like a breeding ground for experiments on like we might be like the pilot program on like bullshit. You know what I mean? Because like we're down as being nice and docile and like I don't know the way things are going here. Like everything's super expensive. Like rent, the average rent where I live is 1,500 for a one bedroom, I think,
Damn.
which is yeah, which is insane. I
Hmm.
can't afford that. So my thought is that they're going to implement, like during COVID, we all got like 2 grand a month for like as long as COVID was. We got 2 grand a month. I was on it for a bit. It was awesome. I just fucking gamed and played music.
Yeah, you guys got a lot more help than we did, or I did. Let's put it that way. Where you had it was,
Yeah, now we're getting fucked now because like the price of everything is insane.
yeah. So that's like the cost of what you got was the
Yeah,
inflation and all that.
there's a carbon tax on our gas now, which is there's no carbon tax. Like we're not anyway. Like there's 30 million of us like in the world. Like we're not going to fix global warming by paying a tax. There's no way. Anyway, I think because there's talk of like digital currency and like a central banking system and like a all that shit. Governments want to get their hands on crypto and regulate it and create their own. And I think the way to do that is to like if they try to give me digital currency right now, I'd be like, no, I don't need this. But if they raise the price of everything, which they've been doing, like I'm making decent money. Like I made 75K last year and I'm struggling. I just got some more gear to like start playing cover gigs because I need something outside my full-time job to pay the bills. Like I can't pay my bills right now. It's insane. Um, the middle class is like 75K is like lower class. It's nuts. Um, so you create the problem, and then the solution would be, all right, here's universal basic income. Here's some livable wage that everyone just gets 2K a month, regardless of what you're doing, but it's digital currency. And then you got that, you're implemented into that digital currency. I'll accept it gladly, even knowing that's probably not a good idea. I'll take it. And then,
Can you clarify
you
something
know,
for me? Like when you're saying digital currency, like I understand the concept, but I'm just a little all right. So what's the difference between digital currency and like put it this way, if I get like whatever, I think a lot of currency in America is digital, right? My whole like if
mhm,
everybody wanted to pull right now, if everybody pulled out all their money in the banks, they can't. The banks can't give everybody that money.
yeah,
We'd falter. That's why banks would fall. They'd be like, hey, you would think like, look, we invested X, Y, and Z into this bank. Like it's not invested, but we put our money, we're having a safe place. This is where our money is. It's all digital. I take
yeah.
everybody take all their money out and they want cash. Everybody. It's not happening. They're not
They don't
giving
want
every,
cat.
yeah,
They don't want cash to exist. Yeah.
but my point is they can't. They can't do it. They don't have those money reserves to just give everybody. The banks don't have those money reserves to give
Mhm.
every single person all their cash outs. And now you guys all have your hand. It's not one for one like that.
Well, I
So that
think,
so there a
yeah,
lot of
no,
it
yeah.
would be digital. And like so like my bank account, whatever. Like if that bank account, if Chase closed, where's my money? What do I do?
Yeah.
All of that's
It,
digital. Like
I,
what do I do? What do I have? I don't. So I'm saying, what's the
I
difference between
think
what you're talking about and what like kind of I experience?
what's already happening. I think, well, they just want to like release like America would release like a US crypto and it would be different than
Yeah, okay. Would be a
US
different than the US
dollar.
dollar. Okay. That's what they're trying
Yeah.
to
But
do.
yeah, that's the talk of people get caught up in the tinfoil hat shit is like
The problem with
central
that is though
bank.
is like, all right, what is your money value for me then as a cross country, you know what I mean? Like on an international
Yeah.
level. What does your Canada Bitcoin offer me?
Well, there's
If
probably
I
a
want to
conversion
sell you
rate.
my, but I'm saying like, well, how? You know what I mean?
It would work.
Because put it this way, if you have like actual like money in Canada right now that you can convert, but if you have
Yeah.
a Canada coin, right, it's as much as you
Yeah.
buy into it. So if your government is buying into it and saying, look, you can like this is you can use this, to buy this, that's valuable. Now it's making value. But is your Canada coin valuable here in America?
Mm,
You know what I mean?
it'd
Like,
probably
why
it'd
would
be
I want
independent.
to
Yeah.
trade it? You're just because if you siphon, if I just
Yeah.
say, here, take my money, give me your money, then you'll end up losing money at some point because then it's not tailoring to the Bitcoin spot. Because the Bitcoin, if you give me a
Yeah.
Canada coin, it's not gonna. That's how I would see it. So on an international level,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like that can take place because
I
you
think,
would need an
yeah.
international body, at least like a, I would say like, you know how they have the euro? You would need like a euro. You would need a North America
Yeah.
currency that would then holds value to then whatever. And it's not because the
That would be
euro
dope.
is still dollar, but like you know what I mean, like a euro, like you know Bitcoin s
That'd
thing.
be fucking
But you
dope.
couldn't just have hey my country is gonna do this because now you're like kind of
US is never
pulling
gonna do
yourself.
that.
But I'm saying if you did that, if any one country did it, maybe US could it would influence others to do it. But like if you had like
Yeah.
if you were fucking Chile and you're like, yo, we're going straight on our own currency. Well, what does that mean to us? What does that mean
But the
to an international person?
but the US isn't gonna do it first. If they want, like, this is my thinking. If the US wants to have this happen, they're gonna fucking experiment with Canada first because they're just like, it doesn't really matter what happens to us. Like our economy's going to shit. Everything's crazy expensive. So why not test that shit out on us first to see how it works? And if it fails, it fucks
Yeah.
us up. And because I think the idea is to do away with cash, to have like no cash. Just people know that's coming anyway. So it's like it's not a negative thing. It's not like it shouldn't be a conspiracy. Like it makes sense. Like cash is a fault, and like handling cash is dirty, and you're transmitting germs, and like you can't track cash. You can't tax. Like if you sell me something for $1,000 cash, there's no way the government can make money off of that. Whereas if there's only digital currency, that's the only way I can send it to you. Well,
Well,
now
the
we have to call
conspiracy
somebody.
would line in not like so. Here's the thing: the same thing when I talked about the utopian thing, where like I think a one world government would be awesome, but in the right way.
Yeah,
But I wouldn't want to see that happen right now because I don't trust the people in government. I don't know the way that the people the way things are like laid out. You know what I mean? I think it's gonna. I
yeah,
just know that that kind of power and under one umbrella is gonna go dirty. And when it does go dirty, like if it's good for X amount of years because you have the right people involved, or at some point some shithead's gonna get in there, and then it's gonna and then they're gonna hire other shitheads, and it's just not gonna be good. But I would say that kind of ideal is kind of like what you're saying. Just on face value, yes, that would be that would I wouldn't have a problem with that. And it wouldn't really
yeah,
be a problem with that. But the problem is then what can happen, say you're also implementing at the same rate, a social credit score or whatever like that. What if you can freeze bank accounts? Because it's all digital. You have no cash on you, you have no whatever. Now
exactly.
I
You
freeze your
could,
bank account. So that's my
you
point.
could.
That would be the
Yeah,
tinfoil hat part against that. It's like now you
yeah.
just freeze my digital currency. Now I can't pay anything. I can't pay
If
anything.
you're,
Why? Because like what if it's because of COVID or something like that? Something esque where like
or if you're
the
talking
mainstream
out
thing.
against shit.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
And then boom. And what if you're right? And you just happen to like that's what I'm saying. Now you get that's the issue
yeah. Or if you make the
with that.
wrong kind of enemies, or like the thing about Schindler's List, fucking Epstein's fucking list.
Schindler's List. Same
Yeah,
shit.
well, like it's like maybe there's an advantage to not releasing that shit because you can blackmail people and say if you like your enemies already, you can say like do this for me or your name's going on that fucking list when we release it. You know what I
You're adding
mean?
people to the fucking list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no point in releasing
Or
it.
it's already
Because,
on the list. Like, hey,
yeah, exactly. You
you're
can
right
blackmail
there,
people.
buddy.
Exactly. You can get money out of it. Why would you release it? Then you just lose all your leverage. Of course, that it's not released. It's this. It's
I think it's not
yeah.
released because there's people in
That's a
high
bill
places that are on that list and
that are
videos on
buying it.
them, and they
Okay,
are like they
exactly.
have enough power to be like no, and enough of them they're like that's not coming out. That
Yeah,
ain't
and
coming
whoever's
out.
in charge of that shit, like whoever's in charge of that shit in the CIA, like if it was me and I was in charge of this list, and fucking Clinton comes over and says, here's 50 million, like not even 50 million, probably not 50 million. Here's 500K, and
I
you're
love
not
how you
releasing
went
that.
from 500K from 50 million. You're like, you know what? Fuck that. Did this motherfucker gave me $10,000? I'd fucking do
Yeah,
it. Anyway, go ahead.
because what do I have to gain by releasing it? Honor.
Dignity.
I'll get dignity. I'll get fucking killed. I'll be like, if I have a family, like I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
able
yeah,
to
yeah,
feed my family anymore. I don't
yeah,
give a fuck about, like, I don't care about dignity or like the rest of
yeah.
humanity if it means I can't serve my family, who's
Yeah.
like, we have this like mentality of like live like you're a hero, but like fuck that. Like if you're a human being, like life is supposed to be simple, and you have your tribe and you take care of your tribe. If you can't do that, then you're failing. Like there's no point in like doing something for the greater good of humanity because it doesn't fucking matter.
I would have to disagree. I would have to disagree. I would agree
Hmm.
in let me just explain. I've always thought like I've seen people make some sacrifices where I'm like that is very commendable. You're sacrificing yourself and but you've outed shit like that. Let's just put like I don't know, let's look up some like whistleblowers or something like that. You know, Julian Assange, fucking what's the other guy's name who's in Russia? The NSA guy. Edward
Oh yeah,
Snowden.
yeah,
Edward Snowden.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, things like that. Things that like and there's more, but like my point is like you'll see things where like look you outed something that like now it's part of the dialogue and now that you outed it it's part of the dialogue and now you're and people talk about it now it's something that they have to address because enough people are like yeah what the fuck is that about they have to address it now they have
Yeah.
to tiptoe a little better so if they're still doing the same thing they got to be better about it or if they can't be as brazen about certain things they have to it slows their progress or it mitigates their progress and then as now that that's out newer generations, people that are our age, when we get in office, or people or our kids or something like that, when they get in office, they might have a whole different mindset. But it did take somebody to like, yo,
Mm.
this is a big problem. You guys didn't even know that this was happening, or this is able to happen, right? Like that's important, and that I think that
Mm.
does make a difference. The thing I would say is personally, which I was also agree with, is if I felt like put it this way, if I if an alien walked right in my front door or landed right there and walked in my front door and then they talked to me and they told me about everything bro and then all of a sudden the men in black show up the next day and they're like you didn't see anything you didn't do whatever and if you did it'd be pretty bad if something happened to your kid wouldn't it you know what I mean like that I'm not saying shit I'm not
No,
right I'm not saying
exactly.
it once it goes with his life like who but I've seen people in different situations where they feel like and they're getting attacked and they're and all this kind of shit and they're not able to make the money they're struggling but just because they like spoke out against something and their kids lives are involved in that they're whatever like you have the guy you have MBS the Saudi Arabian whatever during the killing of Jamal Khashoggi there were like a lot of like there was this one group I forgot their name I watched The Dissident and we talk about there was another group where they were because in Saudi Arabia they had all this control over Twitter like and so many I think it was like 9 out of 10 Saudis had Twitter so it was a crazy you know what I mean like that's a
Damn.
lot
Okay. Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they had total control over Twitter they could like manipulate it so well one person some group figure like because they're trying to talk out about against NBS and talk out against the things that they're doing that they didn't like but they can't get their voice heard so what they thought is they need to game the algorithm and then they were able to game the algorithm and get like heard anyway they know they're trying to kill him they're trying to get them to come back so they can like kill him because they're in the US they're trying to get them to come back hey come over or whatever anyway but his family was still there so his brother ends up going into
Oh,
prison getting tortured and shit like that and things like that right
damn.
in the grand scheme of things it's like that's a net positive for humanity or whatever. It's being spoken about. Now people see what's going on. They killed Jamal Khashoggi and now we're like, why did they kill him? And then we're watching documentaries like The Dissident and things like that. Now it's part of the narrative. Now reporters are questioning America. Like, why are you doing business with them when they're doing shit like that? Why, that kind of stuff.
Mm.
It's part of the narrative. The net good was good that this person took a stand and said, look, no, like that's not okay. We're gonna battle this bullshit that you guys are doing behind closed doors. It's not okay because what you're doing to the humanity over there is fucked up. This is what you know what I mean. So I think that's good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there's no point. I don't think I have it in me if my family's on the
Yeah.
line to be able to sacrifice that way. How do I sacrifice somebody else? If I can sacrifice myself, and if I
Yeah,
felt
but
if
even
I
if
felt
you,
strongly enough where you're like only it's coming to me, but that's not how the fucking game's played, baby.
but even
They're
if,
going to
but even if
everybody
it's only
else.
coming to you, even if it only came to you, it's still going to affect everyone around you. Because like they're gonna feel it. You know what I mean? Like
They're gonna
if you
feel it,
go
but
missing,
like
if you go missing,
it's yeah, no, I mean it's gonna suck for people, but like You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's different. And if I felt strong enough in my conviction that this was something, I could see myself doing it. But even if I felt strong enough in my conviction and I knew it was going to affect my kid or my kid's health, I don't think I can make that call. And like if
I
alien
know.
came through or if fucking, there was some breaking news that I had, I could tell you guys, and I'm there and I'm getting these threats. I don't think I think I'd end up playing ball because especially if it came to my
Yeah.
kid, and that's how they'd get me. They'd just go straight to my like kid or family or whatever and be like, well, we're going for them. And that's how you would like motivate when you feel like, because it's hard when you're attacking you. It's one thing to die on the sword for yourself and like you could feel dignified and whatever, and sometimes you get motivated. I
Yeah.
could see you being even more motivated, the fact that you feel like you're doing something big and the fact that they're that willing to keep this hidden and you're doing something for the bigger good of people. But
Yeah.
if the consequence is your family, I don't fucking think I got it in me, and I think that
It's
tactic that they
powerful.
would use would work on me 10 out of 10 times. I don't know if I have it. No
Yeah.
matter the story, no matter the story, I don't think I could break it if it's gonna hurt my kid.
Exactly. Man,
But we
I don't
respect
know
the
why I
people
thought
who do it. But at the end of the day, maybe not. I don't
we respect him. Like, props to, like, I feel bad for Tom DeLonge, man. Frontman of Blink 182,
I don't know who that
who, like,
is.
Tom DeLonge, Blink 182?
I know Blink 182.
Tom DeLonge's just the lead singer. So he's the dude singing, you know, where are you? That shit. That's
Yeah.
him singing that shit.
Okay.
So he, like 15 years ago, he was just like, I'm leaving. I don't know what exactly it was, but he was basically like, I'm not playing music anymore. I'm dedicating my life to discovering whether or not aliens exist. And everyone was like, okay, Tom DeLonge, like you're
Yeah.
fucked. But
Just
okay,
fucking
like he's
sing. How about that?
yeah, like your mental health's obviously going in the shitter. Your band's kind of falling off. It's like people just thought he was crazy, and
I
literally,
mean, go ahead.
literally his footage. The Pentagon, like he released the footage of like UFOs.
Hold on. What?
The Pentagon re-released it as
What footage are you talking
fact.
about?
The footage of it was
The
like
what
back in
the 2017 with like the Tic Tac and all that.
no, this is like
Because the
it
Pentagon,
might have been
that's the only one the Pentagon released. Though they've recently released some more recently, I think. I'm pretty sure, but they released a group, and that was the first time they did it. I'm pretty sure where they backed it, like these were whatever, like that they backed it in a way of saying that the footage you've seen is legit. They backed it
yeah,
in that way.
it was yeah, like height of COVID, basically like it was like March or April. But it was like
Oh
it
no,
was
no,
Tom
that's later
DeLonge.
than I thought. Go ahead, go ahead.
It was Tom DeLonge's footage. It got basically like certified by the government as legit, and no one cares. And I've seen, I saw a clip of his show recently, and he was like, "I fucking told you guys aliens were real." And I just got to know, like, if
I don't
anyone's
think
going to be
that's
vindicated,
right, dude. I gotta
if
see
any,
what you're talking about because like
yeah,
the footage that the Pentagon released was you had like the David Fravor Tic Tac. These are the footage was not taken by like a civilian or anything like that. The footage was taken by military aircraft, like Commander David
yeah.
Fravor and stuff like that.
All right, so this is a it's
So
not
what
a
footage
claim.
did
I don't
he
know.
have
Do we
anything to do
believe?
with?
Yeah, here we go. I'll send you the link. Copy link. Is BBC reliable? I don't fucking know. We'll call.
Just read me something because if I look it, I'm gonna end up losing.
All right, all right. It says last year. This is I don't know when this article was released, but it says U.S. Navy confirmed DeLonge's UFO footage was real, and now it's being endorsed by the Pentagon. Yesterday, April 27th, which would have been
Can you send
2020.
me the footage?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, bear with me.
Like he dedicated his like he had money too, so he wasn't fucking around. He was funding this shit. That's what he dedicated his like
Let me
life
know when
to.
it's sent. Send it on Discord. Let me know
On
when it's
Discord,
sent.
yeah, yeah. I just think it's funny that like this motherfucker of if anyone's gonna be vindicated on shit on going down the rabbit hole, and then he gets and then like and you're a fucking pop punk artist and you get re-released, like you get like just the pathway of like your friends would have been like, fuck off, bud. And then like 10 years later, the Pentagon, which is like the most reputable source, could like confirm your shit. And I gotta think his friends are still like, man, we don't really like hanging out with Tom anymore. He just all he talks about is fucking how he confirmed aliens. You know what I mean? Like he's still not like no one cares still, even though he was right. Even though he
Yeah.
like left, he like went down the fucking desert fucking path alone and like came back with solid proof. And
Yeah.
people are just still like, who cares, man? Just sing "What's My Age Again," please.
Yeah.
Like it's just like we're just hanging out. Can you like chill?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just
We don't
I
like you for
gotta
that. We want you to be the guy.
I gotta feel bad for him because he like
Yeah. But I bet you there's a couple fucking screw looses in him too. I
yeah,
bet you he's not like just,
there's gotta
he
be.
might not be an easy hang. He might be like the kind of guy who would do that. I mean, like,
But
like maybe, I don't know. Like, imagine, like, I can't fault his inner circle for being like, dude, what, you're going to stop? Dude, what are you doing? And like, what, I don't know.
yeah,
I'm just like, I don't know. Did he just stop singing and like whatever and then fuck up the band that way? Is that how it happened?
he just said I'm not playing music. I don't know how exactly that happened. He
Yeah,
was just basically like he made some post on whatever the fuck he was on at that time, like Twitter or MySpace or whatever the fuck. Just like I'm
like,
leaving
bro,
music to pursue
aliens.
finding. He's probably just watched a lot of X Files and was like, yeah, that's me
So,
now.
yeah.
Like,
Well, I bet you
but
for
he
him
came.
that was a fun
Yeah,
time being like getting into the entrenches. I feel like it would be so fun to be an investigative reporter and like like track down the trails and
yeah.
find whatever and then come across some shit and then be able to release that and whatever. It'd be dope. I just want to know what fucking footage you found because I'm
I sent
aware
it to
of
you.
some. You did? All right, let's fucking play. Make
All
sure
right,
this
which
is
one?
gonna work
One
real
sec, one
quick.
sec, one sec. Maybe I said the wrong thing. Yeah, Pentagon just released UFO footage thanks to Tom DeLonge. It's released three declassified videos on Monday. Are captured by U.S. Navy pilots. How? What the fuck? Yeah. Okay. Tom DeLonge leaked them. Okay. This is why I shouldn't talk about anything. So
I'm saying because I know this footage, and this is the Tic Tac footage. It ends up going on the side. I don't know what footage he would have leaked that would have been from him because this was of many hands that were involved in this right here and getting this
wait.
out. And this was taken from like this is a military operation that they find
Yeah,
this. That's what
yeah.
brings the credibility of it. It's not something that he would have recorded and been like, "Yo, this is the Pentagon says this is true now." That there's no way that happened. This is military footage that came from Commander David Fravor. Actually, I don't know if this came from him, but this was he's the one who speaks out about it. He was the one who like encountered it. I don't know if this footage. I don't think this footage actually comes from his
Yeah. No.
jet.
He had a hand in leaking it, and then
Okay.
okay. He had a hand leaking it in 2017. Yeah, what the fuck
Okay.
am I
So, all
talking
right.
about?
So now we got it clear. I'm telling you.
All
I
right.
know this shit, brother.
Even so, though, like the fact that he was like, I'm gonna find proof, found it, leaked it, got it confirmed by the Pentagon,
Yeah.
and motherfucker, like no one still cares. Like he's still probably like that friend that you get drunk with who just keeps talking about the same shit. You know what I mean? You know that guy who's like,
I know that guy.
remember when we were both fighting over the same girl? Like I was a real one for fucking sticking by you, man. And you're like, man, you told me the same thing like 10 times. Like,
That's what
can we move past this?
that's what me and track. Remember I used to be a national champ.
Yeah, yeah. I'm the champ.
Yeah. I can't stop it.
We all got stories like that, but like, goddamn, I gotta take this. Yeah.
Listen to a little podcast, and they were talking about it was on Joe Rogan's with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. Do you know about Bob Lazar? You know the Bob Lazar story?
Bulbasaur.
Same shit, pretty much. So you know what's going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they were talking about like when they're interviewing. Just think about like high UFO investigators, but like pretty credible, not sensationalist reporters or anything like that. I mean they have tendencies, but anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
they were instrumental in leaking footages like that. These guys.
Yeah.
And having David Command and the whole Congress like hearings and stuff like that just had. These guys are very instrumental in that. Anyway, so they're on Joe Rogan's podcast. They're talking. They've been on a couple times. Well, Jeremy Corbell is. Anyway, George Knapp was saying, oh, yeah, they were saying pretty much when they talk to the old school cats, like, you know, like the Area 51-esque kind of guys. I mean, Roswell, sorry, the Roswell-esque kind of guys, that they always come back to where there were, it almost seems like they don't want to, like, they're like, why poke the bear? Or like, why, like,
Yeah.
you don't like, it sounds like, to the reason is like, why haven't they released the information? Why are they scared to talk about it? Because they're going to keep asking questions. And then what are they going to find? Like, what's so scary that they can't find? And then they're like, what if the truth is just so crazy that you would understand why they're not saying it, why they're keeping it hidden?
Yeah.
And then that could tie us back into the whole Anunnaki kind of shit too. Imagine hearing, oh, by the way, here's the truth. We're going to tell you. You guys want to fucking know? You guys want to know so fucking bad? Here you go. You guys were created by
your
an
entire
alien
life's
race,
lie.
and you guys are just where we were. The human race were all slaves, and they're coming back, or they keep monitoring us. Let's put it that way. They keep monitoring us to make sure X, Y, and Z. Or let's say they're harvesting souls. That's one thing one of the guys said that he heard, or he didn't say he believed it percentage, but per se. But he was just saying that like there was a book that. There was, oh, no. I forgot who it was. I think it was one of them said that he talked to an old guy who was very entrenched in this thing. And he thought that he said, they're harvesting our souls. They're harvesting our whatever. And that's the currency. That's why they want wars. And they're pushed for wars. It's a lot of wars are engineered by them. And you know what I mean? Like whatever. That could get, imagine if that's the story. Like, oh yeah, they're harvesting your souls. They've been here, they're monitoring us. You know what I mean? What if that's the story? And that's why it's hidden, because it would create chaos and people wouldn't feel the motivation to keep living or acting a certain way and to ruin their spirituality and on such a deep level. You know what I mean? What if that's the truth or something? You know, that's just one angle. Think of another horror story or something. Maybe it's not as simple as like, yo, aliens are visiting. Yes, they're real. They're an outside thing. What if they're entrenched in who you are as a person and why you're here? And that's the secret, or that's the reason it's hidden. And for a populace, that's not a good message to have out.
Yeah.
It's better to live thinking a certain way than that. You know what I mean? What if that's the
reason
for the secrecy?
We can't handle that kind of shit.
But then,
we can't handle that shit.
If something like that was the truth, or something, you know, just as crazy and in a way that I can't even fathom, you know what I mean? Just imagine like that. Because I always thought like one of the reasons was like, you know, people would freak out, or it'd be like it would ruin like what if it ruins religion, and then people would feel like they get lost, or they're just so scared that they get like upheaval, or they feel like, oh, we're not the biggest and they're here monitoring us. Like, why do we got to listen to you guys? You know what I mean? Maybe it's a little. I thought maybe it was a little more surface there, but what if it is deeper and like who you are as a being is because of that? Yeah. And your purpose. Oh, you thought you had purpose? Well, it's to be a slave. So have fun with that.
Yeah.
You know,
like same thing as like.
Imagine if that's the truth, or imagine if that was the case. That I would.
Yeah.
You know what? Keep that shit. Honestly, keep that shit. Like I would rather go around my little mundane living, thinking, talking, having podcasts, feeling like, you know.
Would you go to a farm and tell a pig your life is to be slaughtered and eaten? You know what I mean? You wouldn't tell that to a pig. I wouldn't want to.
Yeah, but I think it's deeper than that. I think it's like it's like going to the pig and saying, because that the pig can still say, like, put it this way, it's like slavery, or it's like it's like the thing of Auschwitz. Right now, your life is meaningless. You're a number. I don't want to hear your name. Fuck that. What's your number when you come through here? Yeah, and then like be lucky if I don't put you in a gas chamber. You're gonna get beaten. You're gonna whatever. I read this book called Man's Search for Meaning, and finding people's purposes. Like he was like a psychologist or psychiatrist, whatever, and he was in the Nazi concentration camps, and he just to hear his take on what he saw. He survived, but like to see what he saw. And like the way he would, and as a psychologist, like breaking down what was the thing that broke people And when people went through nothing, what was it like? What he saw, and then the whole thing is about what he saw and like the things, whatever. And then he goes to like the brain aspect of like, you know, the psychology behind it and whatever. But like he would just what he saw when people had nothing and people were whatever. But what would make people laugh? What would make people smile? What was the, you know what I mean? What was like what was the factor of when people lost something? What made them quit? And when they quit, that's it. They're dead. Whether you or act in a certain way that like they can't survive, they're not going to survive. Like what did they lose there? So he goes into that thing, and then what was the man's search for meaning? What was the meaning behind life then when people are faced with that kind of death in front of them? What kept people going? What didn't? Anyway, fuck, I just forgot what was I saying. Oh yeah, so like it's like the pig, like. The pig, that pig analogy, I would equate that to more of like that kind of situation. Like, oh yeah, you're here, you're a number. I don't want to hear your name. This is that. But the pig, not being a pig, but let's imagine the pig was a human in this situation with our kind of thinking, could be like find their own purpose, their own joys, their own whatever amidst the chaos, amidst you trying to tell me that that's all I'm worth is just to be bacon on your fucking plate. You're gonna tell me that I'm gonna live my life in this period with meaning and purpose, and I'm going to do you know what I mean? You can't break my spirit. Yeah, you could tell me you could do whatever you're going to do with my body, but my spirit's going to be right. You know what I mean? But what if I told you that your spirit isn't what you think it is? And I almost proved it in a way. And I said, what you thought, your fundamental, anything you could have clinged on is not what you think it is. That's what I mean. I think that the other thing is deeper than telling the pig, because I feel like in analogy of a human being the pig, we can cling to the darkest of times and the darkest of situations. But if you're trying to tell me that you're harvesting even my afterlife, even my soul, what I thought, and so breaking down my religion, and you're doing that, you know what I mean? Whatever, if you're religious or whatever, and you're breaking even that down, and you're just taking who I am as a being, like I don't have. That's it. That's what I am. Like even in my like spirit, that's what I am.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the deeper level that I feel like if that was the case, I could see why that would be hidden. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that'd be unfortunate.
That'd be unfortunate.
Yeah.
But even then, I'd be like, there's still going to be those David Goggins amongst us. They're just going to be like, be like, fuck that. Like, just because they're able to do X, Y, and Z doesn't mean like the way I live my life now or the way I do now still means something. The way I treat others still means something. Yeah, it's like if that's what a soul is, at the end of the day, maybe they don't have the whole fucking picture up there either. The way we don't have the picture, maybe they don't have the whole picture. Yeah, they know the next level and they're able to manipulate, the whatever a soul is or whatever, or harvest, whatever the fuck that means. You know what I mean? Maybe they don't fucking know the whole thing the way we don't know the whole thing. There's and I love this analogy or this damn, I don't remember the name of the book. It's either a book or a movie. I don't know. It's called Flatline or Flat World. I think it's called Flat World. Anyway, so imagine two-dimensional beings. And like, so we're on the same page. Imagine a page. So a flat surface, and they can only operate like this, right? They're only like, from a top-down perspective. So obviously, if you were a two-dimensional being, you would just see dark lines, and it would, like, if you got farther away, it would get smaller, and you get closer, it would get larger. If I moved above you, that line would come over here. That's my world. That's my existence, right? So there's this like, I don't know if it's a book or a movie. I think it's both. But you have, all of a sudden, this guy starts hearing voices, and there's a three-dimensional being talking to him. So he's like, what the fuck is that? Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, long story short, he pretty much is able to, because this guy, he's like, he can't look to his right. He doesn't know what a right or a left is. Like, he's just up, down. There's no left or right. That's incomprehensible to be able to go right or left. And he's talking to him, and he's able to grab him and pull him out. And he pulls him out, and he's like, look. And he's like, holy shit, like, look at this, like left to
Yeah.
right. And then from the perspective of looking down at, like, let's say this sheet of paper, like the story goes at the beginning of him going to the bank and dealing with his work and dealing with whatever, you know what I mean? Like deal with mundane stuff. He's able, from this perspective, he could see the bank. He can almost, like, you can almost predict the future almost, because you can see from a far away lens. You can see your room. You can see what's happening in the next room in your house. You can see your neighbor's house. You can see the bank over here, because you're just looking at the sheet of paper from far away. You can see everything.
Yeah.
And if I were to pass through this paper, if I was watching somebody pass through the paper, I would see a little tiny point, and it got thicker, 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 until it disappeared, until I passed the way through. So the other being was able to pass through his world and see whatever. But one of the coolest parts to me was, like, pretty much he's saying, like, it just goes on this whole little thing. But one of the coolest part was, like, the guy, the two-dimensional being tells the third-dimensional being, what if there's something more than you? What if there's a fourth dimension being? And he's like, no, there's nothing more. It's like left, up, right, down. Like, well, like, this is it. This is, you guys can only see like this, but, like, what else is there? He's like, well, the same way that we couldn't comprehend what this other thing was, and you helped me, you extracted me out of this and, like, showed me there could be something else. There could be something else beyond that. And I always thought, like, that was, like, to me, was, like, the coolest part. It's like,
that is
yeah, like,
cool.
it's beyond your, like, comprehension, but there could be just, like, that, whatever. And that would be, like, my analogy with the little alien thing. Like, you know, maybe that's their understanding and they think whatever, but that doesn't mean that's the end all be all. That doesn't mean they got it right either.
Yeah.
And that's just a hypothetical, because, like, obviously, who says they're harvesting shit? That was just a fucking wild thing that I heard or whatever. But I mean, like, I still think it applies.
Couple things. If you saw, like, if that two-dimensional like, if we saw, like, a fourth dimensional being, we would see, like, cross sections of three-dimensional. It would be fucking weird. And there are some, like, if you look up, like illustrations of, like, angels in the Bible, like, some of them are fucked. They're just, like, a bunch of eyes, a bunch of fucking wings.
I saw it.
Weird as fuck, man.
It was like the like, if, like, you know, the Bible accurate depiction of an angel or something like that, and they try to draw it or whatever. Yeah, it looked like wheels within wheels with eyes, and
that's some fourth dimensional shit. And also, I just thought about, like, how there's a little ecosystem within anything that can grow on the planet, and that kind of, like, stems out into the universe as well. But, like, it's just the fabric on which we're built. Any fucking thing, a speck of dust can have its own fucking. It can have. You leave yogurt in the fridge, it's going to grow its own ecosystem. Like, every single thing, you take advantage of what you can out of that. And if you think about, like, I don't know, we just don't think of emotions as, like, a tangible entity or a thing, but maybe it is, like, maybe just the feeling, like, feeling greedy. You feel greed. Greed is a specific feeling, and then that's, like, an energy that you put out there. And if, like, 7 billion people feel a little bit of greed sometimes, a vibration, and then what can grow on that vibration is something. Maybe something can grow on that vibration, and then if it can, and it has been, then it would want to create more of its own environment so that it can keep living. Do you know what I mean? Like, and, like, all these emotions that we feel, I think maybe there's an ecosystem within those emotions that want us to feel that way so that it can continue to live, which is kind of weird to think about.
And I want to build on what you were just saying, but this is not too far off either, but which is also cool is, like, if you look into the, like, microscopic level, or, like, you probably less than that, like the you know, the atomic level, a lot of things you see are replicated in, like, you know, the big cosmo level, just like spirals and the way things are shaped. They look like if you get into certain things, like, very, like you know, atomic level kind of shit, like, you know, like quantum physical shit. It's like they look like space. They look like a galaxy. They look like a whatever. You know what I mean? Like, look,
even electrons are, like, orbiting.
It, like, just mirrors a lot that's out there too, and on the big and the small, and the big. You know what I mean? A lot of that mirrors it. But anyway, what I was also gonna say, damn, I fucking lost it. I wanted to build on, what were you saying exactly?
Oh, the ecosystem within vibration.
Oh yeah, and something that you are attuned with. I always find it interesting. We talked about this before, but like music, like all right, did man create music or music was always there? I feel like music was always there because you're just
Yeah, well,
all
yeah,
you're doing is it's vibration. You take what's the difference between
yeah,
like C1 and C2? You're doubling the frequency,
yeah,
right? But like those frequencies exist. I make a sound, a
yeah.
tree hits, a fucking whatever that is, fucking asteroids collide, whatever the fuck that is, whatever that sounds like. I don't know if sound permeates in space, so if you fucking know that, fuck you.
I don't think it does. Yeah,
But yeah, but you know what I mean? Like sound, that's already there. That's already in here. We just
yeah,
manipulate it to, and then we put it in like a thing with like C major and fucking this that chords and whatever. But like we're just taking a string and then we're taking or like not a string, but we're taking a frequency band, isolating it, and putting different points on it. And at those
mm,
different points, that's where you're going to get the music, or you're going to get a certain note. Some notes sound better with different. Some are more harmonious. Some are not. Some are, what is that called? Discord. What is that called? Is it called discord when they're like
dissonance.
dissonance?
Or yeah,
Yeah. When you can have that. So, but it's like it seems like it's beyond. Like it's not. It's like we have taken something that exists, something that's out there, the universal, and we have made it into music that changes us or like makes us feel a mood or something. You can play something that like makes you feel a certain type of way and uplifts you or brings you
yeah,
down or creates tension or whatever. And like since that's already in the universe, what if there's like other things that are like also in the universe that are just like like you were saying, like emotions or something
yeah,
that
yeah,
like how do you
yeah.
play on that? And then also, what if you're an alien civilization? Let's go even fucking farther, baby. And like if we know that that we can be very frequency manipulated. What if you can like put that frequency out across a planet or something and keep somebody in a
Yeah.
lower vibration by projecting lower vibrations that in a way that it's not as simple as maybe just music. Maybe it's just a level that we don't understand that sings to us and makes us feel a certain type of way or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's just a what if, but you know what I mean? Just like
No,
I
yeah.
still feel like at the end of the day, like lower vibration actions still can influence people on a deep level. That's why you can also feel like I feel like that's where people will feel like, oh, that's a bad guy, or no, I feel I like him, he's good, or
Yeah.
whatever. But at the same time, people are misled all the time. People are like, yo, I
Good
thought I liked him.
vibes.
He's a fucking
Bad,
serial killer.
bad vibes, you know?
But here's the other thing too: it's like well, people have good vibes
Yeah.
against serial killers.
Yeah, true.
So does that, you know what I mean? That's the other thing. Like, what do you think about intuition?
I think it's intuition's like definitely served me a few times. Yeah,
But
it's weird.
do you believe in it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So what do you think intuition is? What would you say? Not like the definition, like, but like, what is what's the truths of intuition for you?
I think intuition might be the ability to like tap into maybe a fifth dimension and seeing a possibility that's going to happen, or that like your trajectory is leading there. So you get this like insight into what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck it is, but or if it's like gifted to you from like maybe intuition's like gifted to you from someone else, like some other beings being like, yo, this is going to happen. Cause like it doesn't, it's random for me. It's random. Like I don't really, sometimes I can just intuitively like, be like, yep, this is this. And it is, it's weird.
Here's my
Intuition's
argument.
interesting.
It's like I don't know. I grew up a certain way with like being like very like we weren't religious, but we're like all like spiritual and like taught certain things. So I'm very prone to like all like, intuition, all this kind of shit. I'm very prone to this thing. But I just think like so many times I have thought so like I think like our like there's a small example, then I'll get to the big example. When I'm at work, there's shit bags that come into work and like and the truth is, like, being in customer service, like, yeah, they're like 90% of people are cool, depending on your customer service. Like, if you're working at like fucking,
Yeah.
I guess it's not customer service to work at like an electrical company, but if you were at the front desk, most people who are coming and complaining are probably not cool because they're fucking mad. But anyway,
Yeah.
if you're working at like a restaurant, most people are cool, most people are chill, most people are fine. But the one person that comes in, or the two people that come in that night and are assholes, it makes you feel like, fuck this job, man. Fuck that, man. People fucking suck. But if you think about the numbers, honestly, it's way better than it is not.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you had to cater to an asshole just ruins it for everybody pretty much. And it can like fuck your mind up and be like, yo, this job sucks. Like dealing with people's little shitty habits and things and their little, and unreasonability, whatever. Most people are super reasonable. Most people are super nice and they're like understanding, whatever. Most people that come in are like that. But that small group kind of taints it. And with intuition, I feel like, here's the analogy, is there's times where you just have a feeling like I shouldn't walk down that way. And then all of a sudden you hear on the news like, yo, people got shot down over there. And you're like, holy shit, I knew I shouldn't have fucking went down that way. I knew it. I just felt it. Like I didn't think I did, but something fucking told me. And then how the fuck do you tell that person? You know what I mean? Like, how can you tell me that? I felt it, dude. It was a weird thing. I didn't feel it until I started to walk that way. And all of a sudden I was like, no. And then I went this way. But I feel like for every time that happens, it's monumental in the way, like it sings louder. Even though it's a positive, but like it's an outlier.
Yeah.
But I think we have intuitions that don't manifest all the time. So like I would say just many times, there was a dark, I've living in LA with alleys, literal alleys or whatever. And it's a faster way if I go this way. And I remember walking down and like stopping, and I lived in New York too. And like I stop and you're like, it's dark over there. And you hear all the stories, but you're like, fuck, it's faster. It's like, stop being a fucking bitch. And you just start walking.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? But like my body was like, no, because like this is dark. I'm vulnerable here. What if I've seen enough movies? I've seen enough things or whatever to say that this is not a safe space. And it's definitely not a safe spot. I'm away from people. If something were to happen to me, I can't yell for help. You know what I mean? Whatever. Like it's not out in the open. So it is true that this is a high risk area that I'm going to walk into. And I feel it in my core, but I do it anyway because I'm telling myself, stop being a bitch, dude. Just go. And then I go. And that's just one example. There's other examples you can point to in life. But imagine I hear the next day that something happened and I didn't go that way. And then I'd be like, dude, that would resonate harder. But what about all the times you did something against your like gut that everything was fine, that worked out? I think it weighs heavier when something does happen. And then it's resonating, and now it's like something. But what about all the times it didn't happen? Which I think is way numerous when you're just like, fuck it, I'm doing it anyway. Yeah. So then, like, but you're not weighing the thing. And that's what I think it is. You latch on to the ones that are whatever. Now, I'm not saying intuition's not right. I feel like people get like these weird little things. But even when you get a weird thing about a person too, it's just like, what is it? We've been alive enough, because at the same time, have you ever been to a party or a place and you've been with like, like a fucking, like a friend who's just not with it, that has no like street smarts, has, not there, doesn't know people that well, can't see danger when fucking danger's there. And you're like, yo, we gotta go. We gotta go. Like shit's heating up. Heating up in a way that we gotta go. And he doesn't even see it. He doesn't even see what you're talking about. He's like, dude, I'm having fun. What are you doing? We're chilling. And you're like, no, we gotta go. Like, let's go. Shit's heating up. But the guy doesn't fucking get it. I don't know if you've experienced that exact situation or a situation like that. But that's what I mean. Like, you're taking up cues based on your experiences where we're in a dangerous position right now. Danger hasn't happened yet, but you can, and it might not happen tonight, but you're seeing the writing on the wall where it might, and you don't feel comfortable there. All that information is just going right by your friend, right by him. Doesn't see it. He doesn't have the same experiences you had. So I think we're dealing with people, there's little fucking cues that might even be subconscious that you're just like, I've seen this fucking story. Like, something about him is not right. I think it could just be that. It's just, it doesn't have to be some outside whatever. It could be one, you're attributing the good times intuition or a gut feeling has worked for you as stronger than the times that a gut feeling actually nothing happened. But when it did happen in a gut feeling, I think that always is going to sing louder than like my analogy with like, guests or whatever. I think it's always going to sing louder than the opposition, because it's like more monumental, it's more crazy. That's going to sing louder. And then you have people that in your circle that just don't fucking get the clue. And like, how are you not picking up on this, dude? Let's go. Like, there's going to be a fight here. I don't want to be in the fucking fight. And I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, let's get out of here. And they have no idea what's going on. So then who's getting intuition and what? Like, is that intuition, or is it just the fact that you've been here before? You've seen this. You have experience. You know what I mean? That's my point.
It's more so like it's an intellect thing rather than like a mystical thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But people want to believe in the mystical, man. Even I do. Even I'm like,
oh, I do too. That's why I preface this whole thing. Like, I am ripe for the picking in this world.
Yeah.
Like, I have always been there. Like, I've always been right there. I just have it over time, just like thinking about things, trying to be a little more critical, and I'm always like a devil's advocate. So it's like, how is what I'm saying wrong? And if I can't figure out why it's wrong, then I'm going to keep going that it's right. But I like to challenge an idea or a belief to find out how it's wrong. And if I can't figure it out how it's wrong, or nothing makes sense, then I'll go with that until further evidence.
Yeah, and how far up does that go? Even just with that's a specific example. Like, it's a difference between intellect and understanding that you're just intelligently recognizing a pattern and then making the decision based on that, rather than it being some mystical gift that's like given to you. And then so that just keeps going up the ladder. I would imagine, to like, people that even like, if there's like an alien civilization that's super advanced, there's probably something to them that feel, maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but maybe there's something to them that feels mystical, that they're like, they worship some fucking quasar, you know what I mean? Because they get some like divine knowledge from it.
And that's when my point earlier. Like, imagine the whole pig reference that we had earlier. I'm like, if we were the pig, I imagine, like, I'm sure some bad motherfuckers on planet Earth would be like, look, just because they said that doesn't mean, what if they don't fucking know? Just like we don't know, what if they don't fucking know? How are we going to just adhere, like, and feel sorry for ourselves that this is the way it is because they told us? Maybe they don't fucking know the whole story either, and they're just doing their best to say it. Like, so, you know what I mean? Fuck that. that's the thing. But I think as a society, we'd crumble. But there'd be some bad motherfuckers out here that just like not giving in and know that there's got to be a bigger picture than them, and they don't get it either. Yeah, or something like that. But like,
shit would crumble. And if I was in power, I wouldn't release all that information either. Why would you? Why would you? You wouldn't want your country to fucking suffer. You wouldn't want your friends
that would
and
make
family
sense as to the secrecy behind it. Then I could get it.
Yeah.
And then how do you release, like, they're here, they've been visiting us. Well, what do they say? Well, what's going on? Well, how much do you know? Have you ever talked to them? And then all of a sudden, new information's coming out. Yeah, we've talked to them. Well, what do they say? And then like years later, we don't want to say what they say. Like relax. Oh, I heard they said this. I heard they say. And then the same level that we've gone to the UFO. Let's just nip this shit out of the bud before we keep having to go down the line until you guys figure it out. And guess what, guys? You should have.
It's unpleasant.
Yeah.
Like, what if
you didn't know what you wanted?
Like, what if we're living in a simulation, man? Like, that would be very disheartening.
Yeah.
If all this was just a simulation, bro, that would really fucking bum me out.
Like, that would bum me out too.
I wouldn't want to fucking.
And here's the thing with that too: it's like you have the biblical verses of like, we are created in in God's image, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if, you know what I mean, that a lot of that is like, the Anunnaki or something, very humanoid, very like we were created in their image, or like an alien civilization, or like if it's a simulation, and a lot of these stories come from things like that. and we are just other humans like us, humanoid people, just creating another soup plant thing because they're so high, you know what I mean? And that's us, and we're creating God's image, and that's where all these stories are coming from and trying to fucking tell us. But you know what I mean?
We're
And
not
that's where
special.
those
We're
things
just
are coming from. And then what do you do? What do we bits? It's just like you'd have to ask so many more questions to find out what that meant. What does it mean to be a simulation? To us, it sounds like a computer program. It sounds like whatever. But and then maybe whatever. Like you still would have to ask more questions. But like, all right, who simulated us? And what's your deal over there? All right. So are we just a computer that doesn't like we obviously feel, we obviously whatever. You know what I mean? There's you can keep diving in. I feel like it would be a blow at first, but then there's more questions. All right, who created who is the simulator or TERS? And what do they believe in? Okay, does that sound right? Or what if it is like, what if we do fit into that too? What if, you know what I mean? Like it could.
Oh Jesus!
You wouldn't
What if
know
we're just
until
like,
you didn't. You have.
and what if it's like, what if it's as depressing as like it's not even some super advanced civilization? It's just like us. We created another virtual version of us to run mock things to see what would work and what wouldn't, so that we didn't fuck our own world up.
Civilization and be like, oh, that's interesting. Like a
And
mock
it's just like,
civilization.
and it's not even fucking. It's not even that special. Like we're not. It's just like a civil. We're just a simulation by literally the same version of like we're just.
And imagine if time for them, the simulator, works way like different than ours. So like our perception of time is so much slower or the way it is. But to them, they're seeing it so much quicker, and they're able to see what's going on and be able to change their world things on a quicker scale. Because if it's one for one, that's kind of shitty. But if it's like ours is time warped in a whole different realm than theirs.
And you got someone like
ours is way faster than we perceive it. We perceive it longer. We perceive it millions of years. But to them, we're talking an hour, like 3 days.
They just ran a simulation in like fucking in a minute, and they're like, "Oh yeah, here's the results," and we're just living in that like 1 minute.
Yeah. Oh my god, that would be fucking terrible. That would be terrible. I never thought about shit like that. That's crazy. That would be insane, dude.
Yeah.
Damn, I never thought about that. That's fucking crazy. That would suck dick.
Yeah, and some fucking guy named Gerald like didn't code things right and like accidentally deleted the cornucopia and the Fruit of the Loom logo, and now we don't see it anymore. Like, have you seen that shit?
Yeah.
Do you remember the Fruit of the Loom logo? That shit had a cornucopia in it, right?
Like, nah, I did. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did.
Yeah, yeah. That was Gerald. Gerald fucking accidentally fucking deleted that image. Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. I never thought about it. No way. What do you think? There was something else I wanted to say before we left this.
It's like even like God saying, "Let there be light," and then there was like, what if that's the code? What if he just wrote code and we're just living on that like little bit of code?
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think is the reality? What do you think the truth of everything, the ultimate truth is?
Oh fuck, man.
And let me I don't know if this is, I kind of want to hear your answer before I say this, because I feel like I'll give you an out if I say it.
I still believe the mystic, man. I still believe that when I die, I'm going to be like right there with all my fucking loved ones or some spirit. I'm going to go on some spirit journey, fucking fly through the fucking like ethereal forest and have like a fucking guide that's going to like guide me through and shit.
Dope ass time, honestly. That sounds like a dope ass time.
Yeah,
that's about that shit.
Yeah.
Do you believe it?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so here's my thing. I'm gonna say you definitely don't believe it because you said you think so. My thing is not saying that you don't think that that's right, but what I mean by belief, I mean in the strongest sense. Like, this is the truth. Sion, let me tell you, this is the truth. When we die, we're going to a spiritual forest and stuff like that. I know. I'm like, yeah. I'm taking your shit and just trying to make it funny, but you're not conveying it that way, so I don't think you believe it. And I think a lot of people don't really belief is something like, I believe 1+1 = 2. Let's argue about
Yeah.
it. Let's argue about it. Yeah. Bring somebody. I'll bring the best and the brightest to argue with me about 1+1 = 2. I would like, you know what I mean? I would take that on anyway. Like,
Yeah.
I'm unshaken there.
Yeah.
And like our concept of 1 and our concept of 2 are, that makes sense. And I don't see a wiggle room in any way. Doesn't mean it can't be proven wrong. Anyway, whatever. My point is, you don't have that fucking belief in that's what's going to happen. And my point, what I would say to me is, I know I'm okay. All right, I was going to say I'm okay with not knowing. I wish I knew. But I know that I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. I have things that I think are on the docket as possibilities. And there's things that I don't think are on the docket as possibilities. I don't think any of the organized religions are correct. I think they have nuggets of truth. I think some might be more true than others. I think they have different little things that can give you insight into the, whatever. But I would never say that's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth. I don't think any of those have the truth. I think in my personal like journey and growth, whatever, I still can't land on anything that I think is the truth. I have learned over time that, to me, that I think there's things on the docket of worth considering, or some that are more stronger than others, that I'm like, all right, that I can see that being the truth. I can see that being the truth. I can see that being truth. And some of them aren't that far apart. Some just kind of are along the same umbrella, just kind of one, like, are along the same tree. One will branch off this way. The other one will branch off this way. One will branch off a little earlier. One will branch off a little later. And then on that branch, it could also go this way, and then it can go this way. There's some twigs that could be the case. And that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know. I don't know enough where I can tell you, Sandwich, this is what happens when you die. And I can't say any of that with conviction. Because I know that I know in my heart that I don't know. But I will argue, if you are telling me about like, certain like beliefs or whatever, I can like say, well, does that make sense because of this? Because that's how I think in my own head. So even in my own ideas, I'm like, well, does that make sense because of this? Does that make sense because of that? The devil's advocate, always like filtering your thoughts, filtering your beliefs, filtering whatever through yourself, and the new knowledge that you might obtain later in life that you didn't have before, and just like being able to be like, try to remove your ego the best you can, and like not, and just like sit with the information and just be okay with being wrong and that kind of shit. I don't know. I have things that I think that could be, and it could be a bunch of different things. But like the ultimate truth, I don't know. I think like it could be that it just is. And there is no purpose. There is no whatever. The purpose you get is what you want to put into it. But I mean, ultimate purpose, like for you to have ultimate purpose, I feel like you have to have a creator. And I believe in it, that there possibly could be a creator. I believe it could be a creator. I just don't think there's no way in hell that it's fucking the Christian religion God, or the Islamic God, or I don't think it's those organized religions gods. I don't think it's them. And in that structure, could you have a creator? Absolutely. Could he be very interested in us and that kind of, whatever, and have some role in us and whatever, and not just like sit back? Maybe. But it's not this whole like the Bible, and he wrote the book, and he wanted you guys to do this, and he doesn't want you to live like this, he doesn't want whatever. He had his son come down, and I don't buy that. But I can see a creator. I can see him having some manipulation at times. I can see blah blah blah. And guess what? If it's a simulation, that's a creator too. And
oh yeah.
So like, I just don't know what's gonna happen. And one thing I'll say on that is like, I remember back in the days, like I grew up like in theosophy pretty much. My parents or my family never like called it theosophy. It's pretty much only the males in my family. I never heard shit from the females. They were more likely to be Christian or something like that. But like the males were all like on the same page. And it was like pretty much theosophy, but like they believed in like reincarnation and like your soul, like, so you're here to like learn, and as as through your reincarnations, you're learning more and more and more, and then you start. It's like a hierarchy. You start to learn more, or like become a better person. It's pretty much mastering this world, mastering yourself. When you can master yourself, you can then like gain higher status and move up and move up, and then you pretty much, that's what Jesus was. Jesus was a master. He was up at a high level, and he decided to come stay here and help humanity rise and stuff like that. So like they account for all these things that are already there, like Jesus and Muhammad and things like that. But what they say that their word was like kind of like misconstrued and all that. But like but that's what we do. We reincarnate and whatever. And like, I'm not against reincarnation. I just don't think it's in the same rubric. I didn't get too much into the details of. There's more details like that. It's just like a whatever. But like, I still see reincarnation as a possibility. I just don't think it's the way you guys described it in this whole hierarchy thing. Shit, I don't buy that anymore. But like, I'm like primed for believing this kind of stuff. But I feel like the world can just be, maybe it just is what it is, and there is no purpose as far as like this like high purpose. It's the purpose of what you give. There wasn't a designer that made it. Maybe the world just fucking happened, and not in like a Big Bang thing. Like maybe it's conscious. I think this is what I think. So when I say it just happened, it's consciousness. I think everything might be consciousness. And we don't know how to. We are incapable of understanding consciousness and able to even comprehend what that might even mean. Like all the world's consciousness, and we're just like specks and fucking of consciousness, and that's what aliens are, and that's what all these things are. There's different realms of reality, different like wavelengths and frequencies, but it's just all consciousness, and we just don't understand what consciousness fucking is to even question it or to understand it at this point. But maybe that it just is what it is, and we're over here trying to wrap our heads around it, but we just don't know. And maybe there are things of like beings that are like kind of impose their will, or like maybe do, and like like the alien thing. Maybe they did come and create us and stuff like that. But this still doesn't change that the fact that maybe they know how to pull from consciousness, or just creating like, all right, so the already evolving population was just fabrics of consciousness already. And this is just the physical representation of it. These are the vessels, the body. So when they genetically manipulated us, if they did something like that, that doesn't discount the fact that like this is all, everything is the sparks of consciousness. And when you get to the like atomic level, when you see that things could be in two places at the same time, and blah 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 blah, and like when you're observing or not observing, the wave and the particle, like, you know what I mean, that whole fucking craziness. Maybe that's just the irregularities of just what consciousness is that we don't understand, and that's what we all are. And how something can phase out of existence, like an atom can just be gone. You're like, where the fuck is that atom now? And you're like, and we just don't understand it. I think that could be, and I am obviously saying all that shit that I'm saying, and none of it probably makes a lot of sense because I don't grasp it. I don't know. I just can see it from what I've, try to like look into. I can see that being a thing. And I cannot explain it to you. I can't, you know what I mean? I can't explain it to myself. It's just, I can see it.
Yeah. I mean, you're making good points, and I think we're asking good questions. I don't think we know like a tenth, not even like probably not even a millionth of what is, right? We just got like a very limited little spectrum of what we can operate on. And we can just speculate based on what's within those parameters, what could be outside the parameters, but we have no fucking idea.
And here's the problem with not knowing. So Devin has said before, it's like, I know that because he doesn't like to like, he'll think deeply. Like, I don't like to like say that. I say that to him, but he does think deeply about stuff, and like, even like, whatever. So I can have good conversations about like, religion or just like spirituality or whatever, whatever you want to call it. He does think about it, but like, he has voiced to me before that like, look, I know that I can't know it. I cannot know the answer.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? What am I doing? Putting it there? I'm just gonna live my life and just do whatever. But I know I can't know it. And then my brain is like, all right. The problem with like what you were saying too. Most likely, yes. But like, you don't know what you don't know, so you don't know that you can know it. Does that make sense?
Wait, say that again.
You don't know what you don't know, right? So we don't know the truth. And it
Yeah.
seems like whatever the truth is just so far out of there that we can't comprehend it. We're not operating within the realm on our physical existence to be able to even comprehend what that would be. That seems like the most likely thing. But
Yeah.
we don't know the truth. And because we don't know the truth, how can we tell ourselves that we can't find the truth? What
Yeah.
if it is findable? What if it is? What do people
I
have?
think there's
You know what
I
I
think there's
mean?
little bread I think there's breadcrumbs of like, hidden truths, like the pyramids and like things that are anomalies that we can't understand. I think that shit's breadcrumbs, man. I'm just like what's outside our understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually,
But then
I
it's
think,
like, go ahead.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say, yeah, by definition, I would consider myself a Christian because I believe in like God and Jesus, but only out of a couple of kind of bizarre experiences. I never grew up in the church or anything like that. I didn't
All right.
like
Well,
grow up going
I
to
want to
church.
hear about those bizarre experiences, but first, I want to question the
Yeah,
fundamentals of what you said. So I view
yeah.
Christianity now. They have many sects, many differentiarities. So
They don't have sex at all. They're not allowed.
I've had sex with a few of them. Anyway.
Sodomy.
Anyway. Um,
So you?
my point is, I guess I have to ask this very basic question. To me, a Christian is like a doctrine. There's a set of ideas and whatever. You have to like now it branches off, but you have to believe in God and that Jesus came. I would say he died for our sins, and you kind of adhered to, at least even that. Now the Bible can be like, I don't know if you can believe that. Like, let's say I believe in God, I believe in Jesus, but I don't believe in the
Mhm.
Bible. I don't think you can call yourself a Christian at that point, right?
I think by definition, you only have to believe in God and Jesus, and that's it.
But but here's my thing though. Like, so Christianity was like, based on like you had the book, the Bible, right? And yeah,
Which is
where do you get the information from to believe into how the structure of like, like under like you got angels, sin, the devil, um what the devil tries to do, what God tries to do, Adam and Eve,
Adamu.
how God was, or how, just like the cleaning. I'm trying to stay as basic as probably, so I'm repeating myself. I'm trying to stay as basic
Yeah,
without going into certain particular ones. But like, like how Jesus died for the sins and like the cleansing there, and his reincarnation. Now, different people will say they might take that. I think you could still be a Christian and say, well, that's more of a metaphor for something. Some people will take the Bible
yeah,
literally. Some people will take it metaphorically.
yeah.
So you get into different sects at that point, and then there goes sex again.
Sex.
But you see my point. I feel like there is a
Mm,
structure built around that. I don't think you're like, where do you
yeah.
get the? You know what I mean? There's a structure there, and how do you call yourself a Christian without believing? It's like, here's my thing. What's a cowboy to you? I would say, let's say let's say the essentials of what a cowboy is. Like, how about you give me your example? What do you think a cowboy is in the most essential parts of being a cowboy? I guess I don't even have to get that answer.
Mm.
I guess
I
here's
mean,
my point.
you see the horse in cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, and
That's my point.
you
I would
know,
say that's incorrect.
yeah,
So that would be my point. If I put on a cowboy boots and I ride a horse and I have a
it's a
cowboy hat,
mentality.
am I a
It's a
fucking
mentality.
cowboy?
No,
I might look the part, but I'm not a
yeah,
cowboy. I'm not at a ranch. I'm not doing fucking work on the farm. I'm not hurdling sheep. I'm not, I'm not doing any of that. I'm just
yeah,
looking the
cowboy.
part.
Yeah, I guess you're a farm boy,
Yeah.
cowboy. Yeah,
But if I put on the fucking outfit and I wear it every day, does that make me a cowboy? And I start changing my language. You know what I mean? What is a cowboy? So I guess that's what I mean. It's like, what is a Christian? Just because, like, so what essentials does it take? At what point do you qualify as a Christian? I think it's a little bit more than just saying I believe in God and I believe in Jesus. But if you said I believe in Jesus as he died for our sins, now we're starting talking the Bible. Now we're starting to get into the realm of where did he get that? Where did he get this information that Jesus died for your sins? Why? It's from the Bible. So then you're starting to look for a certain sect. Well, okay, well, if you believe that, well, guess what else is in the Bible? And now, like, what are you picking and choosing? At what point do you lose? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Like, it could be so like general. Like, well, what does it mean? Like, what does it mean to be a Christian? I guess that would be a bigger question.
I thought it was just as simple as I might be wrong, but I thought it was just as simple as like a believer, like a Christian is a believer in Christ. Like you just believe that Jesus is real or was real.
Well, let's imagine this. Imagine that you believe Jesus lived, but you believe Jesus was like a fucking gangster. Jesus was like, yo, fuck these motherfuckers. Let me try to change. Let me change my analogy. Let's say you believe. Let's say
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
You gotta believe it based on what it's presented to us as in the Bible.
Yeah. So this one, are you a Christian if you believe Jesus was a cowboy? And he rode around on a horse and he had a straw hat and he fucking had wheat in his mouth and he talked with a fucking slang. And if he's like, no, he definitely did. No, Jesus Christ definitely did. But are you a Christian at that point? Yes, you believe those like fundamentals, but like
who knows?
But do you see what I'm saying, though?
I think
would you count that as a Christian if somebody said, no, that is what Jesus did?
He would have been like a small brown man, I feel like. You know what I mean?
But my point is, what I'm saying is like, if somebody talked to you and said, well, with conviction, not talking shit, conviction, believed that and said that, would you say, yeah, he's a Christian, and then had this whole different idea. And then Jesus came and when he said, you know, something that he never fucking like that nobody attributes to him. Let's just say that he said that Neuralink is gonna come in 2020. He said that. Don't tell me he didn't say that. He fucking said that. Jesus said Neuralink is coming out in 2020. Blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All right, and he had this whole rubric of what God and Jesus did that was outside of anything you've ever heard. Nobody believes this, but this guy believes in God, believes in Jesus, believes Jesus is Son of God, but he has his own ideas of it. Is he no longer is Christian, right? I would say that.
Yeah.
That's my point. So at what point there has to be part of the sect, part of the rules, part of the whatever, in order to call yourself a Christian? There has to be at some point some guidelines that you are following through to a certain point. I don't know where that fucking stems off, where you no longer can call yourself a Christian. I don't know where that stems off. But you see what I'm saying? There is a point. Because I went to the extreme example and you realize I wouldn't say that fucker's a Christian. So at what point? I have no idea how to answer that, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And I feel like even if I did believe that, or if even you believe that, like when you said that earlier, I just don't know if I personally would call you a Christian because I don't know, based on the other things that I've heard from you, the creation story. If you don't believe in that, you're very with the whole fact that we could be created by aliens, but you're also believing God and Jesus, stuff like that. Now, is that jiving with what's being said, the Adam and Eve story and shit like that? You know what I mean? So then can you call yourself a Christian if you have such a disparity there?
I think New Testament is what you like. Old Testament's like, you don't have to believe that if you don't want.
Unless you're a Jew.
Yeah. But who knows, man? It's wild.
Yeah. I feel like we should call this fucking. Why do I keep wanting to accidentally say anime? It's the second time. I almost said we got to close this anime out.
Yeah, let's close it out.
We're at 3 hours and 5 minutes.
Okay, apparently we have things to talk about.
Yeah. This will probably be condensed down to about 2 hours and 40 minutes with all the bathroom breaks, the beginning talk. It'll probably be like 2 hours and 30, 2 hours and 40.
Nice.
But I got to go through all this shit, so. Like I said, we can live stream right after this and have some fun and keep talking shit. Yeah,
I'm into it, man. Let's get into some games.
Let's do it. But anyway, thank you, man. I love you, brother.
Yeah,
Thank you
you
for
too, man.
coming on here. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's a good time. It kind of cruised by. It's like I
Yeah,
couldn't believe it's 7 o'clock already.
that's what I love. That's what I love to hear. I feel like that's a good sign that we were having fun.
Yeah, yep.
All right, brother. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers, man. Thanks for having me on.
Always.